Hello and welcome to our 5th session of our D&D campaign. I'm starting to lose track. So, where we last left off, our heroes continued venturing north, traveling constantly towards, well, their destination, which tends to change every session or so. However, after encountering a rather harsh combat with the goblins of the Lonelywood, and losing one of their party members to these green brigands, you decided to press further north, specifically heading towards the town or location known as
Dualdon's
shelter.
Yes, DM.
Yes, DM. The DM created these locations and he forgets them.
You need keen mind, I think.
You continue traveling, braving bad weather and harsh elements, ever wary that your rations are running shorter per day. As you arrive to this new location, and you headed down what seems to be like a icy looking object, an igloo specifically, you realized that this shelter, Dualdon's shelter, was under attack by none other but more goblin brigands, who seems to be emerging from the Lonelywood. Numbering in their 20s, more or less, you saw that they were set to engage not just the igloo, but, presumably, the igloo's owner. A woman in a garbed cloak and a staff, who beseeched you to help her in that dire time of need, as the goblins emerged and set to attack her. Wasting no time and no effort, you engaged, helping not just the woman to kill the goblins, but also successfully fending them back and sending them running back into the forest. And that is where we pick off. As the 5 of you draw into this woman's shelter, heading into the igloo, you collect around the unconscious form of Germaine, who seems to have suffered one too many blows this battle. You, Germaine, you are knocked out cold. You feel yourself floating, falling down an eternal abyss. There is darkness surrounding you, and you are horizontally falling backwards onto your back, almost in slow motion. Towards the top, you see an ever-decreasing point of light as you draw further away from it, constantly falling, and you're not sure how long this has been happening. Eventually, as your silenced, muffled screams for help, for somebody to reach out to wake you from this ever constant nightmare, all of it abruptly stops as your back suddenly hits solid ground. And as you do hit the ground, you wake up with a start, seated in the middle of a forest.
Middle of a forest?
What do you do?
It's happening again. I look around me. Is it snowy? Is it green? What does the forest look like around me?
The forest is this verdant green. It seems to be towards the late hours of the day. It's towards nightfall, you assume, with a little light coming through the dense foliage of this green forest.
Do I have my weapons? Do I have my armor?
You check. You are equipped with your breastplate. Your sword is not though belted to your side.
I slowly rise and make sure that I'm standing on solid ground, not something that's going to break under me.
Wearily, you stand up, and you notice how sluggish you feel, how weak you are, your feet almost trembling beneath your own weight. You feel tired and cold.
I look around, and is it just trees? Do I see any landmarks? Anything that catches my eye?
Make a perception check.
7.
You look around as best as you can, your head swimming, your vision also swimming. And There are no distinct landmarks. You realize that you're in the middle of a forest, surrounded by trees, plants, and corpses. Dozens of them. Dressed in armor, battle rags, swords, battle equipment scattered on the ground. You realize that the ground itself is slick with mud and trampled leaves. Dense foliage, all of which has fallen to the ground and just squashed into it.
Do they look like human corpses?
Make an investigation check.
15 plus investigation, 15.
From where you are at, you see that all the corpses here around you are humanoid. Specifically, you look towards a couple of faces, humanoid faces, human, you get there. A half-elf over there, slain on the ground, a spear impaled into his chest.
I go to the nearest corpse and I try to see whether they have any insignia or markings or anything that could indicate what faction they're with or who they're fighting for.
Give me another investigation check, please.
11.
Within 11, you look as best as you can, looking through the half-elf's equipment, belongings, whatever your hands can actually grasp. And you realize, specifically on this half-elf's left spectral, you realize that there is the insignia of the Neverwinter Guard.
Seeing this, I'm sort of taken aback. Do I remember fighting the goblins, or is this... how good is my memory before this incident?
Excuse me.
Keen mind.
If only. If only. 7.
Your head feels fuzzy, your memory sluggish. You can't make out or remember how you came to be here in the first place. Who these people are who surround you.
The corpses, do they look fresh or do they look old? Like, are they rotting or...
Make another investigation check.
Ooh, 3.
The 3, you can't really make out, like you're no doctor yourself, you realize. You can't make out whether this corpse in front of you is a day old, a week old, to you it looks the same.
I try to spot a sword and a shield from one of the slain soldiers so that I can at least defend myself if danger emerges again.
You pick up what seems to be a short sword, still belted on the half-elf side. You unsheath it. You see it's still clean, pristine, as if unused. You realize to yourself, what happened here? Or you ask yourself, specifically, how did the soldier die without even having a chance to draw his blade? You pick up a shield a couple of steps away from a fallen warrior. A sword skewered all the way into his belly. A look of petrification is built into this corpse's head. As if this man screamed out in agony during his death throes. A shield still clung to his right arm rather, which you also unfasten and take for yourself.
Given that I was also in the Neverwinter Guard, do I recognize any of these faces?
Make an investigation check. Or make a history check, actually. 2?
I've never met this man in my life.
None of them, no. Either it's because of your sudden memory fog, or perhaps their undistinguished faces after being dead. You can't make out exactly why this is the case, but you are alone.
The weapons that they were slain with, what do they look like? Human-made weapons? Like they look like cruel weapons that perhaps goblins might use, or cruel weapons rather goblins might use, or barbarians, or do they look like human weapons made in a civilized society?
Specifically looking at these two corpses in front of you, you see that There is a spear embedded into the half-elf soldier dead in front of you. And the man whose hand was still strapped to the shield, he has a short sword impaled into his gut, both of which seem to be standard human weapons you gather. Not goblin for sure. Yeah, you've seen goblin weapons in the making, and these look of a finer quality to you.
I start walking aimlessly, trying to find the edge of this battlefield. And as I walk, I try to look for signs of. While there are many corpses of the Neverwinter Guard, I like to look for signs of enemy corpses, maybe, perhaps the corpses that were slain while these guys were defending themselves. Hopefully, it wasn't a total defeat.
Make a perception check.
Ooh, that's really good.
You wander, and every few dozen feet or so, you come across a new dead person, a new soldier, slain in a new manner, which you yourself wouldn't even have guessed that it would have been possible. Whoever attacked these soldiers, you reckon, was a cruel fighter. Savages, presumably. Human, perhaps, given their usage of such weapons. Non-bestial, you gather. But whatever it was, the more you walk into this makeshift battlefield, the more you realize how one-sided this battle was.
I recall my last battle with the Neverwinter Guard, where something similar to this had happened. I was, in my mind, spirited away from the battlefield and somehow survived. And I think, perhaps, whatever force had saved me then has plunged me back into this cruel place.
As you think this, your mind starts asking the question, is this then? Or is this now? Is this a repeat? Or is this something new? Because if it is new, you ask yourself how familiar it is to that one particular strange encounter. You hear in the distance a sound. Amidst the continuous backdrop of fluttering leaves as a light breeze flies through the forest, the occasional squawk of a bird or the hoot of an owl as it settles for the night, this sound in particular stands out.
I walk towards the sound. I remember being saved by a woodsman, or rather taking shelter with a woodsman, and perhaps this is what was supposed to happen. Perhaps this is my mind sort of replaying the memory, sort of going through the paces, trying to keep me alive, sort of.
You half walk, half stumble through the forest, your hands reaching and groping wooden trunks to try and steady yourself. Your head swimming, your vision blurry. You feel tired and cold, your feet themselves feel stretched out and worn as if you've just run a marathon. But in reality, you realize you've just woken up. Continue heading towards the sound, growing slightly louder the more you walk towards it. And in the back of your mind, realizing or half guessing what you're about to find. You emerge after what seems to be 15 minutes of walking, leaving the battlefield behind you. Still within the forest, you arrive upon an open glade, grass covering the area, and what seems to be a 100 by 100 square foot piece of land. In the middle of this open land, surrounded also by forest canopy and even more grass, is a woodsman hut. A small chimney built to the side with a straw ceiling and a wooden perimeter. Smoke bellows from the small chimney within this hut. And in the front of it, surrounded by a wooden fence, within this fence is a humanoid. You realize that this man, human, is wielding an axe, is wielding it up above his head and bringing it down in one fell motion, splitting a log in front of him.
The scene seems familiar in my mind. Perhaps I do not immediately recognize the humanoid, but I remember taking shelter in such a hut. Perhaps even the same person had given me shelter. So I start walking perhaps a bit more hastily towards the hut, with a bit more determination.
You walk with clear purpose in your head. Finally, somebody who can potentially make sense of this entire situation. And as you stumble through the blades of grass, moving through them, you eventually gather pace and arrive in front of this man. The man pauses, looking at you, his axe above his head. He then brings it down, splitting the trunk in front of him, the pieces of log falling on either side. He then picks up his axe and then beds it into the stump of a tree where he has been splitting wood. He looks at you, wiping sweat off his brow. The man has a blackish moustache, what seems to be an iron cap on his head. He's wearing leather strappings as well as leather gloves. He looks at you, but doesn't say anything.
Do I recognize this man from my previous encounter?
Make a history check.
19.
The man is indeed familiar. You can't exactly put your finger on it, but then, as you try and recall where you've seen him before, you realize he was in your vision, or in your dream, or in this memory of yours, which you find yourself reliving just now. Is he the same person? Is this a repeat of what has happened, or is this something new?
At first I stare at the man, not sure of what to think. The fact that he's familiar is both troubling and comforting at the same time. Comforting because I know that I'm safe, but disturbing and troubling because I'm not sure where my mind is at right now. I speak to him and I say, I need shelter for the night. There was perhaps you've seen, but there was a battle not far from here. Perhaps even you are in danger. I'm not even sure how you're still alive over here, given, well, if I recall correctly, it must have been barbarians. It must have been. It couldn't have been anything else. I hope you have a place for me, place for shelter.
Make a persuasion check.
Four.
The man looks at you, strangely, curiously, watching this man in monologue, almost. He then doesn't answer your question directly once more, wiping sweat off his brow, and instead he tells you, "Are you a scout? The battlefield is not this way, sir. It's further up."
The battle is lost. There's nothing to scout. I'm just what's left.
I understand. I thought that you had come to look for fallen comrades, perhaps to report back to your captains. My hut is usually accommodating of such people, but after what I've seen the last couple of weeks, transpiring here in this forest, I've been told to be wary of whom I admit in. His hand draws wearily towards the shaft of his axe. He doesn't draw it out, but you notice it instinctively, that this man is uncomfortable.
I mean you no harm, Sir Woodsman. I am merely struggling to survive this nightmare. I'm not sure how I'm the only one left, to be honest. By any chance, have there been any other guests coming this way?
There have been. People from your own militia, all the way from Neverwinter. I'll tell you what I've told them. It was a massacre, one-sided. None of them survived. So I'm not exactly sure why they sent you again here, to inquire on what has happened. I have just the exact same words to tell you what I've told them.
I'm not from the city. I'm from the battle. I guess I'm the only one who survived, so I'm coming to you for help.
His eyes narrow. That's impossible. That happened 2 weeks ago.
As he says this, my mind sort of spins. Thinking of the time that has passed, I sort of take a seat just on the floor. It doesn't matter what's under me, I just take a seat.
You stagger to the ground, your hands finding the support of the railing of this hut as you stagger to one knee. As you process these facts, is this man possibly correct? Or is he lying to me?
Can I perform an insight check on the person? Natural one.
Either it's because it's dark, or perhaps the fact that your mind is processing too much information. But the man, if anything, gives you a hint that he is a bit on edge with your presence here. He pulls the axe from the wooden stump, still keeping the weapon low by his side. He asks you, "What do you want, stranger?"
I just want shelter for the night. I just want a good night's rest. I just want to get up in a warm bed and forget all of this. I just want to go back to the city.
He looks you up and down once more and tells you, "You're not welcome here. Move on. I don't know what dark magic you've dabbled in, but if what you say is correct, and that you're one of those dozens corpses slain up there, and if you've come back, I want no part of it. You hear me?" He raises his axe and now holds it in 2 hands, gripping it tightly.
At least give me something to nourish me on my way back to the city. I have nothing. I have just the sword and shield I picked up from what I assume are my dead friends and comrades.
Make a persuasion check.
Not very persuasive. 4.
I said I have no part in it. Now move off, warlock. On whatever magics you dabble with, take them away with you. This is unnatural. If what you say is true, then I have no part of it. And if you are speaking lies, then the more reason why not to let you in. Move along.
I throw down my weapons and I simply resign myself to his axe. This isn't how I recall the event happening. There's something strange, there's something just a little bit different in how things are going. Perhaps this isn't exactly the same memory, perhaps this is something else, perhaps this is another possibility, another way that it could have gone.
Your mind races through these different thoughts. The sword and shield slumped well in front of you, scattered. You yourself on your own 2 knees, almost half begging this man to let you in. At the same time, trying to understand and make sense of what is happening here. The man with the axe takes a step forward in intimidation towards you. Says, "Get off my land, now! Before I'll use this axe here to lob it into your head! Move along!"
As he steps forward, I simply raise my hands and I try to get up. I don't even try to pick up sword and shield, I simply walk off. Perhaps, do I see at least a silhouette of the city over the trees or something like that? Any sort of direction that I can take?
Make a perception check with disadvantage, because it's nighttime now. Your vision is growing blurry.
4 plus 3, 7.
You stop, trying to... Well, you get up first of all, and taking a couple of steps back away from the man, trying to gather your bearings, wary of the man behind you, just a few feet away from you. You try and see where you're off to next. And you do see in the distance what seems to be the bastion walls of Neverwinter. Some few kilometers down this open glade, down the slope, towards the sea specifically, which you see in full view from where you are at. Now in the night's time, as the sun has set, you see twinkling lights behind Neverwinter's bastion-like fortifications. A sign of habitat, the city which you have grown and sworn allegiance to.
I turn to the woodsman and I say, I appreciate your hospitality, woodsman. Perhaps next time we meet, you'll be a bit more accommodating. And I trudge off to the walls that I see, the bastion.
You move off slowly through the night. And then, as you depart from the woodsman, the memory fades, this dream ends, and your vision swims back into consciousness. You find yourself prone, on your back, still garbed in your armor, your weapons no longer in your hands though. Ascending over you, on her two knees, is a woman, which you partially recognize.
Not your average one.
It takes you a few seconds to realize that this is the same woman whom you had sought out to help when the goblins attacked. Standing next to her is the skeletal, almost gaunt form of Vitus. His two Githyanki eyes specifically honed on you, almost partially in concern and relief as you start steering. Behind the both of them is Craven, his hood still drawn on his head, standing a few feet back. And on the other side is the dwarf, still half bare, but also looking down onto you.
As I wake up, I start and I say, is this real? Are you real? Am I real? Where am I? What time is it?
Unfortunately, as real as it can get human.
I need some proof. I need something that tells me that this is what it is. This is what I can feel. Is what is really the truth.
Great.
I bonk you with my stuff on your shoulder.
Oh, I fall unconscious. I have 0 HP.
The stuff feels as real as ever. The woman who is kneeling over you says, he may be like this for a while. Perhaps he is still hallucinating a bit. But the potion I gave him will bring him back to speed, hopefully soon enough. How do you feel?
I'm not sure if there's a suitable answer to that question. I guess I'm alive. And I'm not dreaming, perhaps. I'm not sure. I will give you a better answer to that question when I get up and start walking again.
Perhaps we should start by getting you back on your 2 feet, she says, handing out her hand.
I take her hand and I...
She helps you up. The woman in front of you is garbed in a greenish cloak, long red hair, and what seems to be like some sort of tribal bluish tattoos or paint covering her face, around her 2 eyes specifically. She also has tattoos drawn all the way down her arms, where she has basically sleeveless clothing. And the tattoos seem to intricately match the same symbols etched into her wooden staff, which she holds in her left hand. You can't make out what they are in or what they denote. They seem foreign to you.
Can I see what race she is by the way? She has a hood on her.
She has a hood on, but you can instinctively, with your passive investigation, make out that she is at least a humanoid, you reckon. Human,
I guess-
elf, or half, somewhere in that area.
Halfling.
Half elf.
Yeah, halfling.
You were lucky we came on with it.
Lucky is an understatement. I thank the gods and whomever watches up from above that you arrived here when you did.
You are attuned with the arcane as well, just as our fellow here. Tell me, are you Dualdon?
Dualdon? No, not at all. Though they call me the Witch of Dualdon. Dualdon was an ancestor who lived here within this area. And
Your ancestor?
Not mine specifically, but the name stuck to it.
So tell me, what's your purpose here, witch?
We should ask of you the same. What purpose do we all have here in this forsaken area of the world?
But the question would be, what were the goblins after?
Well, I can't exactly understand why they sought me out, but like I said, I am a witch of sorts. Presumably, they might have been staking out my igloo for some time. As you can see around yourself, there are plenty of items which I would presume a goblin might be interested to steal from me.
And have they carried out attacks like this before?
21.
She's speaking with a cool tone. You realize with the 21 on your investigation that she is, to some extent, you feel that she is speaking clearly and not evading your questions, but she is wary of her current company. And she turns towards you and she says, "No, this is the first time that they've been so bold and brash to attack my home like that. Though, if I were telling the truth, these goblins have been a trouble and a nuisance from quite some time now.
Yes, in fact.
I've already made reports to Termini to do something about them. But I did not think that the goblins would actually fall so low to actually find the confidence to attack in such numbers."
Well, your calls have been answered, because we are that answer. We have been assigned by Termini to track down these goblins and, well, at least rid them of the merchant's problem. And I guess yours as well now.
It is interesting news. The four of you then are working in tandem together.
Yes, so it seems.
I see. That is good to hear. That Onuk has done something about this.
Ah, so you are familiar with the bear.
I am. In fact, it was I who reported this goblin activity in the first place to him. Me amongst many others, of course. It is good that he has taken action on this by sending somebody to look into it.
Yes, so far we have dealt with another previous incursion on our way here.
Goblins, I presume.
Yes, of course, we were charading as merchants, and they attacked us during our sleep. We managed to repel them, but one of our own fell to one of their sickle blades.
I see. Yes, these goblins, they have a penchant behavior to poach travelers and merchants, specifically around the pathways of the Lonelywood. They're using the forest as a base of sorts. They gathered there in numbers, and they've been there for quite some time now. But their numbers, unfortunately, as you can see, are growing uncontrollable.
Perhaps we built a bit of a dam for them to be less of a problem for a while at least.
I would hope so. I do not want to think of another circumstance where the goblins would emerge in such numbers and find me alone here within my home. I mean, I know how to fend for myself, but how many were there out there? I lost count. I don't want to imagine a scenario where I have to fight them off in such numbers.
2 of them escaped. Perhaps they will report back to that goblin camp in the wilderness.
That is not a good thing. I hear and keep hearing rumors of some sort of goblin leader by the name of Sparks Wielder,
Sparks, how do you write that?
who seems to be calling the shots for these goblins. Some sort of champion of sorts of theirs, who seems to be in command of this goblin tribe.
Sparks Wielder.
Sparks Wielder.
Sparks Wielder.
Now I speak no goblin, but from what I've gathered, from the dozens of rumors which occasionally I come across, this is the title that they have bestowed on him. These goblins are a big problem if they continue to grow uncontrolled, as they have been for quite a while now. You see, where they're at, they do not prove a troublesome point to 10 towns. They're just a nuisance to Termini and perhaps the town of Lonelywood itself.
And even yourself, it seems.
Well, yes, of course, but as you can see here, me living in the middle of nowhere does not exactly constitute as a town. I'm speaking in the broader sense.
Yes,
It
but
is the reason why 10 towns have not taken action specifically against the goblins in the first place, as of yet. It is because they are not that troublesome to the extent that they prove a danger to the collective confederacy of 10 towns.
But what's it worth to you handling these goblins? Apart from, of course, stopping these attacks. Is there anything else of merit to hunting down these vermin?
To me, safety of mind to start with. As you see, I was out of my house, a thing I seldom do. But I was actively, actually, looking for my mother, calling her. She's gone missing, and I feared the worst.
Your mother?
I went into the Lonelywood, just a few 100 meters or so, to try and call out for her. I did not come across her, and now she has been gone for days. I feared the worst.
We haven't gotten your name yet. I am Vidas. Wolof.
The people of 10 towns call me as the Witch of Dualdon. They seldom come towards this place because they are superstitious and they fear that I may cast a curse on them. But seeing as you've helped me out in such a dire situation, perhaps I may trust you with my true name. My name is Catriona. You say your name is Vidas. What about the three of you?
My name is Craven.
I am Jermaine.
And my name is Lonelywood.
It is a pleasure to meet you. Once more, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. As a token of my appreciation, I'll offer my services as an enchanter going forward to you. And perhaps to start with also a gift to accommodate my services as an enchanter. And she goes towards the nearest shelf, towards one side. As she walks there, she takes out a dusty book, a tome. And she comes forward, handing you a... Well, who's the closest here? The closest...
I don't know, I think he's still up there, you know.
So she comes towards you, Jermaine, holding a dusty book, which she puts in your hand. This is a tome of Bane enchantment.
Of Bane
enchantment.
Enchantments are spell books, not your generic spells, but spell books nonetheless, which you can apply on non-magical items. You would of course need somebody well versed in the attunement of such spells to such items, an enchanter specifically, and that is where I offer my own services to you, should you encounter such similar books in the future.
How can we use this book of Bane enchantment?
The book itself, when binded to a non-magical item, a weapon specifically, would grant your weapon the additional benefits of dealing more damage, specific towards one specific creature, depending on the Bane enchantment itself.
And how many weapons can we bind with one book? Only one?
You may apply just one book to pair one item. Otherwise, the effect of the enchantment would not be suitable, and I would not suggest that you put it on more than one. It is a process which will relinquish whatever magical potency lies within the stone. And an enchanter will siphon that power into your weapon or piece of equipment.
So we can use it only once, basically.
However, if you do come across any sort of similar
Can it
tools
be
in the
transferred,
future,
its power, from one weapon to the next? Or once it's used, it's stuck, it's bounded to the weapon and...
once the spell has been uttered, it is forever and permanently bound to the item.
So we need to use it wisely.
The item which has been bound in such a manner will be considered as a magical item, and will incorporate the effects of the spell enchantment. One item who is already enchanted may not be enchanted once more by another book.
Do we need to perform some sort of...
She can help us enchant the weapons, she said.
when using the magic weapon itself, do we need to perform some sort of chant or ritual in order to have the weapon take its effect? Or do we simply fight as if we normally would?
Indeed. You would need, first of all, someone well versed in enchantment. I do not know many people here within the Red Hat Glacier who would so willingly offer their services, but you have myself.
After the weapon is... After the book is bound to the weapon, how do we take advantage of its effects? Do we simply strike at an enemy and the
It's
enemy?
innately active,
Exactly.
I believe.
It converts, the process converts your generic blade, for example, into a magical weapon with new properties.
Okay.
To process this enchantment and to enact it, I would need, of course, at certain times, certain base requirements, such as money to cover the costs of the ritual, which will go into it.
And for given that we saved your igloo and
No,
came just in
don't
time,
get me wrong.
would this be a free enchantment for our first signal of a good deed done?
She smiles at you, pauses, and then she says, Vitus,
You son of a
if you
bitch.
do find another enchanter here within the Wreckhead Glacier, rest assured that they will ask you for a service fee, in addition to whatever base components and ingredients that which are required to go into this ritual. The money I ask of you is to cover these bare components. I will not ask you, though, for a service fee. The Bane enchantment, for example, requires 50 gold pieces to bind its enchantment to a non-magical weapon. Other enchantments might require other base requirements. For example, for most circumstances you will need the actual weapon or item to bind it with, but other more powerful enchantments might require more, other components to perform such a ritual. I will do this for you, should you require it of me. And perhaps I might ask of you another contract going forward. I might give you more things, new things, which you may keep forever, if you help me look for my mother. I am dreadfully worried about her, and I fear that the goblins might have kidnapped her.
Your mother, she lives with you in this igloo?
She does. She is old, but I do not think that she is cut out to handle the outside.
When did you last see her?
A few days ago.
If the goblins captured her, does not very well on her. She might not be alive.
These thoughts go through my head every day, ever since she's disappeared. I think, or I suspect, that of all the places the goblins might have taken her, if they have indeed taken her, it would be to a near watchtower, a wooden outpost of sorts, not so far away from here, from my igloo, in the north of the Lonelywood forest.
I rummaged through my backpack looking for the map. The map is outside of my backpack.
Yes. No, the one below it.
Can you point out exactly where this watchtower is located?
We are currently in Dualdon's shelter. Now I believe that the outpost itself, let's bring it here under the carpet. Yeah. But you don't need to show all of it, just the area specific. So we are here in Dualdon's shelter. I believe that the watchtower is located either here or here. Or here. I am not sure which part of it. But I have heard rumors that the goblins use it as an outpost, a scouting garrison of sorts, occasionally taking prisoners to that area.
Just next to the goblin camp.
It is roughly, I presume, perhaps a day's out from the goblin camp itself.
Perhaps you might be interested in this venture, although we are short of rations.
Well, I can try and help you as best as I can, but I am no merchant myself. What rations I have, I've gathered for my own and my mother's own survival in this harsh land.
We should, I believe there are quite a few goblin corpses outside the igloo. Perhaps we should rummage through them.
Thank you for reminding me, Jimmy. We must.
We'll certainly find some food.
Perhaps they might contain some of their food, because otherwise we'd have a tough time heading back to Tourmaline to
I will also try and scout out and see whether I can find any sort of messages or clues on these corpses. Perhaps there might be an indication as to where they are taking prisoners. And she wraps her cloak tighter around herself, preparing to head out. It's drawing cold outside. Perhaps I might invite you to spend the night here, and then maybe discuss what holds for us tomorrow.
We require rest either way, so we will thank you for your hospitality.
And besides, if more goblins are thinking of, well, making another attack this night, I would much endeavor to have somebody else around to help with repelling them.
Does she have the wolf with her or no?
That is the wolf form that she transformed into.
Okay.
She catches you staring at her up and down, and she says, I am a man of many talents.
Man?
A woman of many talents.
That's very
No wonder she's not your average.
Apologies. Of my many polymorphic attributes, transforming into a man is not hard.
Your attributes, are they innate, or is this something you learn as you grow up?
Well,
I've seen that you have attunement with the moon.
make a persuasion check.
Persuasion.
I have heard of tales of
16.
She says, no, one of the main reasons the people of Termini seldom come through here is because they detest a woman who has mixed blood. My father was a red-head barbarian from the icy wastes, and my mother a lone woman from the town of Lonelywood.
As she says barbarian, I scowl and try to refocus.
Born out of wedlock, you can imagine the distaste of the people of Ten Towns when they came to know that my mother was pregnant with such a child. Ever since then, I've lived here with my mother, all the way out in the middle of nowhere. We seldom ever go into town, only when we really need to. Perhaps my only allies in Termini is the Werber himself, whom I occasionally call upon to help with such
Then tell
odd
me,
circumstances.
how did your mother get captured? Were you not with her at the time?
I hope for all the gods overlooking us that she is not captured. But has been days since she's last returned. I was not here when she went missing. I think the last I talked to her, she was out collecting some herbs. She never returned.
What is your mother's name? Just so we can.
Her name is Kimberla.
What is her phone number?
Keep her.
Very much like to meet you, mother.
She is an elderly woman.
Did your mother also possess the same powers as you? You mentioned you are of mixed blood, but your blood, does the magical portion come from your father or from your mother?
Make another persuasion check.
30.
She says, well, I feel that perhaps the corpses outside are getting a little bit too cold. She responds coldly, and she waits for you by the door in expectancy.
Let us go search these goblin corpses. Maybe we can find something magic.
How much HP do I have right now? Do I know?
You are on 1 HP, I believe.
So the potion that she gave me doesn't increase HP.
Right, it's a healing potion. Let me actually roll the dice for
It's
you.
1d4 plus 2.
No, it's healing potions are 2d4.
This one, that's it.
Plus 2 or 4, I'm not sure.
That plus 2, I think.
I can feel the healing.
So what are mod like greater healing potions, so like 44 plus 4.
Was super healing potion.
So, you earn 8 HP back.
So I have 8 total, right? No, 9 total.
It's 8.
0 plus 8 is 8, my kind.
Yeah, she can validate 1.
No, 0. She just.
Take this. Boom, boom, boom.
And she leads you outside of the hut. Out in the now cold night, a light wind blows through the openness of this area. You see, just 100 feet or so away from the igloo is the perimeter and periphery of Lonelywood itself. The trees swinging in this cold wind, bits of snow flying around you. And you see already collected around you, specifically also within this open yard in front of the igloo, are the frozen and slowly getting buried under snow. The 20 or so goblin corpses which you've slain.
Can we begin rolling?
Yes. So Catriona will, well, how many of there are? There's 4 of you and herself, so it's like 4 rolls per person, more or less.
4 rolls per person. With disadvantage.
With disadvantage, yes, because these are
She's
goblins.
looting with us as well.
Mela.
Jeez.
8.
Keep note of what you're rolling, so I can
Investigation
respond
checks.
accordingly, yes. No, it's not investigation, it's just a normal roll, like no modifiers or
Mela, tina tejda u xed rolja.
Oh,
9, 11.
Senna. Duncan, mela, 9, 11. Oh, jien 8.
oh my goodness, that was rolls.
Jiena, senna. Ben,
Mela, għandi
Enti t-wazzib jak
Issa nirrolja għal...
Jek t-tejli tijak.
Għan nirrolja ta' xisku.
11 or 2.
Rejdobok.
Mela, 9, 11, 11, 2. Inti?
19.
Ooh.
19. 14.
Ooh.
13. Disadvantage.
Jema.
Mela, alright. 14. 13. Għandu rolls.
Tammet you 8, 1, 2, 6.
14, 13.
Oh my god, that's fancy.
8, 1, 3, 6. 8, 1, 3, 6.
That's 10. Okay.
Nista nibda b'xaħat,
Mela, xeħt li jint?
Mela, jena
14, 13.
11 u 10.
11 u 10. Jek trid ta' dan kien ġab 2 11s. U bat 9 u 2.
Inti għandek 8. Inti taqqa 6 gold pieces, taqqa di. 6 taqqa taqqa. Saltan Duncan, kemm għandek?
2, 11.
Double 20. Double 20, yeah. Double 20. I am summoning it.
Seeds. ħana seeds, ek. Nerfin sira.
Craven, you find on one of the goblins a small ulu knife with a scrimshaw handle.
A what?
It's an ulu knife, it's like a flat short blade, like almost like a dagger of sorts, with a scrimshaw handle, like almost Eskimo-ish, so to speak. So that's one of them.
And
I'll
what
change it with my small knife.
Equivalent as son of Beru shotgun.
You also find on another goblin what seems to be a small pyramid block of something, of some blackish substance. And as you smell it, it smells almost like some sort of incense, which is awfully bad, or smells bad, or it might be a pile of shit, you're not sure.
Pyramid.
Mela dawk
jacket.
Mela dawk il-ġiex il-levels, jo, il-ġiex il-levels. Alright, dan kien għadbaqa l 9 u 2 jek t-teħles tijaw.
So the tier 2 doesn't find anything.
Like natural pile of shit.
It's so
Yep, that's shit.
On 9.
You find also level 3 we inti palissa.
Fosfor, ma.
15 electron pieces on one of the goblins.
That was all electro.
Yes.
Okay, mela 9 less, issa jgħad baqa li 1,
One chain.
7,
One GP can be
1 electrum is 5 GP. No, 5 electrum is 1 GP. So basically you got 3 GP. You got 3 GP or shit.
You find 9 pieces of rations from one of the goblins.
Oh, 9! Alright, what about 6? 9 rations.
Deepest dungeon. Darkest dungeon.
You also find a short pair, unfortunately, of sledding garments.
Sledding?
Sledding garments, yes. Specifically, it is a short pair, unfortunately, because you found them on the goblin. So they will only be worn, or they fit like a halfling or a gnome, that sort of.
Why can I leave them?
The sledding garments, basically, they give you +1 on animal handling checks when you are operating a sledge pulled by mastiffs.
Okay. I haven't met either one of those, and I'm not a goblin or a halfling, so I just leave it there.
Okay. And yes.
Mela, let's continue on to Ben, who has a 14. 14 is pretty high.
You find a dungeoneer's back on one of the goblins.
Oh, nice.
Ooh, holy
That's
shit.
actually worth some money.
13, which is also quite good.
Engineer's back.
And cartographer's tools as well.
Nice!
On the same goblin who seems to have been hoarding everything.
Smithing tools on the solid.
Did he look like a bit bulkier than the other goblins?
11.
He was the one with the sack on his back.
11.
Right.
Just usually funny.
Double count me out. Guys, I do for
You also find a tattered book of Nordlander myths, more or less. They are in common, more or less. Yeah, more or less, because actually some pages are torn out. There are scribblings on it which are not even in common. You presume that the goblin might have been using it either to use it as to light fires with or to wipe his ass. Occasionally, you're not sure. You do find the occasional smear or two of shit on it.
Ah, here's the shit.
And then he's got a 10 last.
So here we're all at disadvantage because we let them get colder.
Yeah, because it's a very low rarity loot. People
yeah.
goblins.
There's two types of rarities. So like low rarity, which is not rolling with a disadvantage, normal rarity, which is just running, and like when you kill a boss or you find the loot chest or
We
something,
roll with
you roll with advantage.
Alright,
Like because the way the loot table is, the higher you roll,
Makes sense.
the higher price items or magic items that you may find.
so it's all on the same loot table, it's just...
It's always the loot table, yes. So you find also a pair of knucklebone dice.
I don't know.
The sixes on these dice, they have a skull symbol on them.
Alright, it's Matthew, he got an 8.
Matthew gets 24 pieces of electrum.
You want to write it yourself somewhere or should I write it? That's it.
I'll keep track of that.
Then he got a 1.
Shane?
Shane, a 3.
Shane?
And a 6.
It's a 3 at level 1 and Shane. With 6. With a 6, you find also goblin garments.
I don't know. I don't know. You know.
And basically they are cold with their outfits.
Alright, let's think. Dal-witch ma zammejt xejn x'metli.
Look, hold on. What do you do?
I tell the others what I found. I found rations.
That we would need. I'm down to 6 myself. I don't think I have enough to make it back.
I have 12 rations.
Over the dim of the wind, Catriona tells you, perhaps I can try and find you some to take you further down if you intend to head back towards Termine. You'll for sure need it if you intend to venture into the Lonelywood, but let's talk more inside if you're done pilfering with these corpses. And she starts fighting the wind back into her igloo.
I had to where we left the donkey and attempt to find my cloak.
Make a perception check.
I'm going to move the donkey closer.
With disadvantage because it's getting dark.
9.
With a 9, you head towards the donkey. The beast looks calm but increasingly cold. You lead him from the reins towards the igloo, also at the same time looking left to right to try and see whether there's any sign of your tarp cloak. But no, alas, you don't see it. You hope that it hasn't been caught by the wind or trampled underneath the snow, otherwise there would be no chance to find it.
I spent some more time looking for it.
Leading the donkey all the way towards the igloo and tying the beast inside, Graven sets back out into the wind to try and look for something.
We put the donkey inside the igloo.
He is outside the igloo but within the fence.
Is he warm?
Make an animal handling check.
He's bold enough.
3.
3. No, the beast looks fine out here.
Okay.
Does he look fine? Oh yes, he looks fine. I had his hand as well. And actually, can I open my Dungeoneer spec to see it, to see what's inside it?
Yeah, it's exactly what the player's handbook tells you to have, basically.
Set of common clothes, minus cloak.
Venturing gear, let's see. Aha, perfect. Għasħaqqa xidara kif nitkollu. Sekru fu goblin. Pitons u mbarazzek.
Bieħom fil-parsi. Jew nżommu mal...
Għena spaħerna naqsmu bejti.
Vidas petting the donkey, you can see in the wind outside and the occasional flutter of snow through the dark dim skylight. Craven on the periphery of the forest, upturning snow, looking for something, and also Jemail on one knee, looking through a backpack of sorts, which you suspect he's just picked up from one of the goblins.
10 days of rations in the Dungeoneer spec.
Nice.
I shout out to Craven. Don't get lost out there again!
I was never lost. You were the ones lost, as I recall.
Yes, we were lost trying to find you.
Still, as
Just
you
don't
said.
get too far.
I won't.
I keep an eye on him.
What do you do?
One question. A tinderbox. Does it mean we can light a fire without performing a survival check?
I believe so, yes.
Wait, no, you got it in there, boss. God damn it, Gabriel.
Is this, you have the wording in front of you?
No, I know.
No, I just saw it.
Hannah, let me check. The small container holds flint, fire, steel, and tinder. Used to kindle a fire. Using it to light a torch or anything else with abundant exposed fuel takes an action. Lighting any other fire takes 1 minute. That's all it says.
Something about.
Presumably, you use it when there's no wood lying around. Like if you're in a sewer or dungeon where there's no way how to light a fire, and you would have access to it. Out here, as you're traversing past the wood, actual branches, stuff like that is not like a short commodity.
I have no idea. But anyways, I head back inside. Is there a fire inside? Is there like...
There's no fire, however, as you duck inside, you immediately braze the welcoming shelter of the igloo compared to the chill wind outside.
How big is the doorway? Can I get the donkey inside?
You reckon that you have to kind of crouch a bit down to pass through the igloo itself. You'd have to convince the donkey to somehow slither inside.
I go over to Catriona and I ask her, is it possible to leave the donkey inside? I don't want him to get frostbite into his hooves.
It is fine by me if you convince the beast.
I try to convince the beast.
Mm.
And I ask Drondrel to accompany me, knowing that he likes to talk to this beast. Maybe he can get it to somehow walk inside.
Drondrel comes along with you, and he will also do another handling check.
Okay. Can I give advantage to him?
Drondrel appears to talk to the beast. In a slow, monotone, calm pitch. Occasionally you hear things like, but it will be warm inside. I promise. Are you sure? Eventually Drondrel looks back towards you and says, knocks it. Well, just...
I somehow consign to what he's saying and just say, listen, I don't really care as long as we can find a way to get back.
I have been told that the donkey will not abide by the constraining spaces of the igloo. He would rather prefer to stay outside.
If you say so, Drundrin.
It's not me saying this, it's the donkey.
As it says
If you
so,
say
then.
so.
Meanwhile, I will head inside. I feel it is quite chilly out here, and my exposed muscles and frame is slowly starting to get cold. He heads inside.
Do I look outside for Craven again?
Make a perception check with disadvantage.
Oh, we've lost Craven again. I got an 8 plus 2, so 10.
You barely see him there, still looking.
It's like an over concerned mother. What time is it now? Is it like the real dusk?
Yeah.
Is there a, what's the moon out right now? Like, is it a crescent, full?
It's a half moon.
Crescent.
Meanwhile, since Jermaine has, is looking through the backpack, Craven, go ahead and make another perception check to see whether you find this. Disadvantages.
14.
So 14. Eventually, you find the cloak hanging from a piece of twig, flying in the wind. You pick it up, hoist it around yourself, and you trudge back towards the igloo. You pass by Jermaine, who is still knees deep in the snow, looking through the contents of a
I
backpack.
put them inside. I'm inside the. I'm rummaging through the backpack while I'm inside the town.
You
Well,
found the rations.
as you approach the igloo, you see that Jermaine is also. He's picking up a bag, holding it on one strap on his shoulder, and also walks into the igloo in front of you. What do you guys do?
Have you found any rations, Jimmy?
The Dungeoneer's pack has 10 days of rations that we can share between us.
How many rations do we have in total? I have 12.
I have 4 rations on me. With the 10 days of rations, it will be 14 days of rations.
Plus 26. How much
I
do you
have
have?
6.
6 plus 36 is 30. How much does Drurin have?
Good
Drurin,
question.
how many rations do you have, friend?
Let me check.
I'm not hungry now. I don't know.
We have 32 rations. That should equate to us for now. 8
3 rations.
Can't kill trash.
35 rations divided by the 4 months. That's almost 8 to 9 rations. 8 to 9 days of venture. Rations can be so.
As it is, I don't think we have enough to head to the Lonelywood.
Well, assuming you find no trouble in the Lonelywood, even if you just pass by to look for any sort of goblin activity or signs of my mother, perhaps I might guess that you might make it just in time if you continue heading back towards ceremony. Though of course you are welcome to come back towards my own shelter if you are pressed for food.
Can you offer us any rations now if we decide to head out to search for your mother tomorrow?
Make a persuasion check.
My persuasion is -1, just saying. Ooh, not bad actually. 15.
15. She says, I'll see what I can spare you from the little I have.
We would be willing to pay for this.
She opens a crate next to you, Vidas. She walks towards you and hands you a small tinder box. Not, well, a small, yeah, a box of tin rather.
Who's the cigarette?
A small tin box
A small tin
of
box.
cracked rations,
Which
which have 4 days worth of rations.
4, so that pushes up to 39.
39.
That will give us one more day.
Huh?
That will give us one more day.
We need a ration master, eh? We need a treasurer,
We need a
ration
ranger.
master.
What about the piece of burden outside?
Oh, we can
Are you covered
A
for him?
beast of burden has 2 days of rations for him. I mean, we can feed him our rations,
Indeed.
but that counts as 5. I mean, I'm
We don't
assuming
know.
it's roughly as much.
Might I intervene and suggest, well, 2 points. First of all, consider now if you decide to walk off Brennan's Run, you will be traversing in a wilder country per se, and travel will be perhaps a bit slower than usual, as opposed to you traveling on a road. And secondly, you may attempt to survive off the land itself, by hunting perhaps, or pilfering through wild bushes for wild berries and such. But of course that is not guaranteed.
Perhaps you might leave the donkey here and venture for 2 days into the Lonelywood, search for her mother, and see what we can
We
find.
no longer need to pretend to be mercenaries. So any
Merchants.
It's a
Merchants.
good idea.
We are mercenaries. Pretend
We are
we're merchants.
Exactly.
Not the other way around.
so whatever disguise we had before, whatever.
The goblins are known to us, especially those that have escaped. So perhaps might be best to accompany without the mule. But this is still a rental. We need to take it back to get our 35 gold back. Plus,
I believe the best idea would be to look for her mother, come back here, and then leave with the donkey, and take the main road.
if that's okay with Catriona.
Of course.
We'll
You
take care
can
of
leave the
donkey.
beast here, it will not be a problem.
I leave it with its feed and 3 of our rations.
We can just leave her with her own tinderbox or whatever she gave us.
Yeah. 4 rations. So we get 3. So we get 36 rations each, which is divisible by 4, so it's easier to count.
Okay.
Alright? So it has 2 days of feed and 3 days of rations. 5 days of rations for sure.
If she tells you, you speak that you are mercenaries, where are you from exactly?
We are from the Neverwinter Academy.
Ah, I see. Far away from here, but at the same time, closer to other places.
Yes.
From a more civilized place.
Well, me and Jermaine, I've gathered our mercenaries. I do not know so much about trade. We have only met for a week or so.
I am but a scholar wizard.
I assumed as much. And our colleague here is, well, he's doing great.
I haven't seen a dwarf like yourself for quite some while. Around these parts especially. But then again, my level of human interaction, as you can see, is quite limited.
Well, I guess
Yes,
we could
fairness.
get a better guess at her race.
Sure,
But
make
let's just still
make
have
an
a-
investigation check.
Let's just still have her put back up.
She still has her good.
She's already told us she's like the daughter of a barbarian in American place, and
No, whether she's an elf, half elf, or human. 12.
Now that you catch her in a better light, perhaps inside of you, you can make out that she is human. You gather perhaps a hint of Fae in her beautiful, straight jawline-like features. But human, at least a part of her is human for sure, if not all of it.
Alright. I don't comment on it, I just.
We don't get much travelers or visitors from the southern parts of Faerun. But
Yes.
perhaps of all places, yes, Neverwinter would be the most likely that mercenaries such as yourself will travel towards tent towns to look for work or whatever else people come here for.
That is what brought me here, as I can attest, but I'm not sure for the rest.
I am afraid, being mercenaries, whatever recompense that you may find, I will not be the most well-paying patron of yours. But from the little I can offer you, I will try and make your time worth your while.
You have already been generous by hosting us here and offering us your enchantment capabilities. And to that we are grateful.
Well, I'll be even more grateful if you manage to find my mother, hopefully in one piece. These goblins as well should be taken care of as soon as possible. I know that Onuk has set you up to this task. To which extent have you discussed this with him, if I may inquire?
We have only discussed with him once we left off from Vermont.
Yes, but to which extent? I ask, what level of engagement with the goblins are you planning to undertake?
Just to slay those that were attacking the road. The ones that we slew.
I don't think that the entire goblin camp is within our grasp right now.
I would agree, because to engage with the goblin camp itself, if you ever decide to, it will require proper planning and preparation. You would not want to attack such a heavily fortified location without a decent plan of action and without being prepared for it.
Exactly. Our intention was to ward off the aggressors against the merchants traveling and selling their wares along these streets and roads leading up and down to Termini. And to that I think we have achieved our goal. Especially seeing that we just slaughtered 20 of them, and 2 were left skimping off to their war camp to signal their cries.
At the same time, though, I promise you that many people would see you as saviors and a quite generous folk if you do manage to undertake it upon yourselves to do something about these goblins. As I've said, they are a threat not just for me, but also to the citizens of 10 towns and the Lonelywood.
We need
Perhaps.
more men and equipment to take the goblin camp.
If 10 towns saw us as more worthwhile investments, and perhaps we were more invested in ourselves and more armored, perhaps we might tackle it in the future.
Onok is the person to talk to about these matters. From whatever limited funding he can pull, he has the ear of the Council of 10 Towns in his pocket to some extent. In such matters, he usually takes to the council directly as best as he can.
When you mentioned that out of the another question, 10 towns are like these, like towns mentioned.
Make a history check.
This is why you need keen mind. Ooh, actually 20.
Wow.
I know exactly which town and what it is.
How many towns there are?
There are 20 towns.
You specifically remember back in the Blue Clan Inn when you were talking with the bar owner of the building. He had mentioned that 10 Towns is a confederacy here within Icewind Dale. There are specifically a collection of 10 towns scattered within the region known as Icewind Dale. 2 of which happen to be Termini and Caer Connick towards the south.
So 2 are shown.
The rest are out of the scope of the map you've been given by
DLC.
There also happens to be another closer town known as the Lonelywood, who inspires its name from the actual forest adjacent to it, also by the name of the Lonelywood. But this town is out of the scope of the map as well.
DLC.
And the game one.
Perfect. Now, if it all suffices to you, I will go to sleep.
Perhaps some of us could keep watch.
Before we go there, before
just
we
in
go to
case the goblins.
Or we can resume the following watch we have set up the past week.
I have some loot that perhaps we might be able to share between us. I have an extra backpack. I have an extra 10 pitons that we can use to climb ice. Piton.
Piton.
Extra torches, an extra tinderbox.
I haven't used any of this stuff, so.
And
Pythons I don't have. How many do you have?
I have 20 in total.
You can split them.
Yes. So you can take 10?
Pitons, P-I-T-O-N-S, right?
Yes.
It's the other one.
Do you have a tinderbox?
Yes.
Do you have... Do you have...
Tinderbox torches, I have 10 mesket, bedroll, backpack,
Okay.
water skins, rope,
So I guess the backpack is...
dragon chest set, also of which I'm proficient in.
Perhaps you can take the knucklebone dice, because I already have knucklebone dice.
Knucklebone dice, okay.
Craven, do you have 50 feet of rope?
To kill yourself, I mean.
That's part of the explorers. Right?
Possibly, yes, okay.
I took an explorer's pack.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, 2 explorer's pack. Of Frank.
Alright.
Undurable control.
How is the double control?
The Book of Nordlander Myths. Does that give me any proficiencies in anything if I read it, or is it just...
I mean, I guess you have to read it, no?
You flip through it and it looks like some sort of child's book. You get it that there will be no useful information there.
Fair enough. Start from 20.
It is nothing better than Tinder fuel.
Okay. Then actually I just leave it. I'll sneakily slide the book into one of Catriona's library. Oh, Catriona's shelves. With all the shit smeared pages. Why does my igloo smell like shit?
Before I go to sleep, Catriona, Do you have perhaps any mending spells that would mend my armor and weapons?
Oh, yes. Good. Are any of you proficient in cartographer's tools?
I want to actually become proficient in cartographer's tools, but I don't know how to do that.
I have many skills, but mending is not one of them.
But you are, I mean...
I'm a druid,
You are useless to us.
of all things. A witch, as others call me.
So,
Worksmith, though, is not amongst my titles.
perhaps we need someone who focuses on mending skills.
If only I had some smith's tools. Speaking of, do you have any smith's tools? You repeat.
No, I can repeat what I just said.
Okay. But perhaps even if you weren't proficient, the goblins might be float around when.
I think there may have been a smithy perhaps back in Termine, or if not in Termine, then in Carconic, surely.
It's quite.
I believe there was
It is.
terminal.
Perhaps when we're there.
We need someone with mending before you just can't rip. And you repair it.
Okay, I think we can do this. Sleep.
Wait, if someone of us can take Artificer Initiate, and we can get the mending spell from there, and you can get proficiency with Smith's tools.
I already have proficiency in pistols.
Oh yeah.
I just need this pistol.
No, sorry, proficiency with one type of artisan's tools, and you learn one cantrip and one first level artificer spell.
Can I use my hammer and crowbar as smith's tools? Dunk, dunk. Your armor now has -2 basically.
Well, we sleep.
We sleep.
Yeah.
Well, before we sleep, I cast alarm as a ritual outside of the igloo, just outside, so 20 feet outside.
And you do that while starting your watch.
And I do that once.
So watch is so the 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay.
And also I cast Unseen Servant again and instruct him to clean the cloak from all the sweat from the dwarf.
So as you cast your ritual, the three of you notice that at one point Craven walks out of the igloo and returns a few minutes later. And you, during that time, in the pitch black darkness of the night, with the cold wind biting into your steeped cloak around yourself, are busy casting the alarm spell, casting hexes and wards around the igloo. And do you realize as you do that there is some sort of interference as you cast them? Although it comes naturally to you and it's not per se a problem, you realize that there is, to some extent, with your arcana, already something inbuilt or already something surrounding this icy structure of the witches. It doesn't trouble you, but you realize that something's off. You cast it, and after you finish performing the ritual, you head back inside in the warmth of the igloo, and you cast Unseen Servant, where the cloak gets picked up by the invisible self, gets thrown around, and it starts getting scrubbed by this invisible force from the sweat and the blood of the goblin fight earlier. The others slowly make their way to one side of the igloo, covering themselves as best as they can from the garments, cloaks, quilts, and tent equipment that you've been carrying onto yourselves all this while. And taking the first watch, Germain Craven taking the first watch, you sit at the forefront of the igloo, looking outside, but from where you're at, you can see pretty much nothing. You can hear the constant fall of snow, the howling of the wind, specifically the garbled howling of the wind through the pine tree, through the countless pine trees dominating the periphery of the Lonelywood. You spent the first hour pretty much doing that. And then on the second hour, you hear something. you realize that the dwarf is snoring quite heavily. The second hour goes by, and you instinctively get up. You notice that the unseen servant has done its work. You pick the cloak up, wrap it around you as best as you can, and after waking Jermaine up to start his watch, you head into your own sleeping bag and settle for the night. You, Jermaine, get up, still groggy from your night's sleep and still weary of the fight you've just had a few hours before. You settle there, cloak garbled around you, your own hands covered from the cloak, just seated at the front of the igloo. The donkey has tried to find as best as a shelter as it could. It's also settled down and it seems to be sleeping.
Can I handle up the donkey to keep stay warm?
You stand up, exit the igloo, and enter
Wait,
into
oh,
the
I thought I
piercing
was outside
cold.
already. Wait, so I'm keeping watch from inside the igloo?
You were keeping watch, I presume, from the entrance of
Okay,
the
alright, yeah, then I'll stay there.
By the doorway.
by the door.
Yeah, I'll stay there, no problem.
The donkey is just a few feet away from you, but within the fence periphery of the igloo. So you get as you seat yourself over there, you gaze outside and just embrace the first hour of quiet and darkness. You doze off for a second, and you're startled by a slight nudge. The witch herself, seated next to you, with a warm brew in her hand, which she hands you. Drink this to make you better.
What's this?
It seems to be some sort of tea mixed with herbs. Warmed by some sort of heat source which you can't make out. I hope you feel better after the battering you've had.
Already feeling better, thanks to you. I appreciate the help, even though I understand you do not have too many options given your situation here, but regardless, I still appreciate the help.
I have a question for you. What does that insignia there, woven into your left shoulder, indicate? And she's pointing to your fighter insignia ring, which is basically this. And that is one of the relics you keep around usually.
This is the coat of arms of the Neverwinter Guard.
Can you show it?
Yes. Of Neverwinter, rather. And well, that's a sign that I used to. I think back to my memories with the. I think back to my memories of fighting for the guard, going on patrols in the snow, and I say that's in the past. It's basically the Neverwinter Guard. That's all I can say about it.
I see. You did say you have, come all the way from Neverwinter yourself. You're allies as well now.
Yes, I have. I'm not sure about Craven, as Vitus had said. And if I recall correctly, Vitus as well was part of the Neverwinter Guard. Likewise, I am not sure where Drunner is from. But
Drunner is a dwarf.
yes, the dwarf. We also had another member, but unfortunately, the goblins got him. Regardless of where we're from, we're a team now, I hope. Whatever difficulties we can come across, we go at them together.
Difficulties I've come to learn bind you together even more fervently. They mold you into something better.
Indeed.
Do you have a name? Like, collectively, the four of you. You are mercenaries, you've told me, but usually the bands I do come across, they usually sport some sort of name or title.
Wouldn't risk coming up with a name on the spot. I would rather not risk angering any of the others or displeasing any of them with the name. Perhaps in the morning we can come up with something more official, but for now we can just call us by our names.
Well, it's not something you have to do, it's something I've just pointed out. I mean, after all, if you do end up proving to be of some help to the people of Termine by ridding them of these goblins, like I said, they would welcome you with open arms, and they would surely wants to know who their saviors are.
Perhaps you have some hints yourself that I can take to the others.
To the four of you?
Aha, it's a third.
Nothing which comes to mind at the moment. But then again, I don't know the four of you that well either.
You are correct, of course. I'm only saying it in jest. I do not expect the name of someone we've just met. Perhaps in the future you might hear of us. And remember,
Hear songs of this.
of course, the songs of the heroes of Terminate, or the heroes of Neverwinter. Or the heroes of Dualdon's shelter, perhaps. Who knows?
The hour draws late, you realize, and after the second hour, with the two of you just, like bouncing around the occasional word or two to prevent you from falling down to sleep, you eventually wake up Vitus, and you yourself settle down for the night. As you wake up, you find that the witch herself is still on the periphery of the igloo, looking outside, herself covered by her own cloak and also another tarp to keep her warm.
I wake up, go next to the Catriona, and tell her, do you not sleep, Druid?
She looks up at you as you join her. She says, "Which will I do? But after what transpired here, I no longer believe that I am safe in this isolated building here. Not that these parts have been safe to any extent before, but now with the goblins growing in confidence, I feel even less so."
Perhaps, but you may rest this night. We are here after all, trying to keep watch as we have this past week traveling through the lands. And we will try our very best to find your own mother.
I do hope that she is out there.
Perhaps, hopefully so. And I can sense that I look towards the sky actually. I look at the moon again. Is it still kind of like brilliant at this moment?
The moon is still there, yes. Half crescent.
Perhaps the moon might shine brighter once we find her. Then you will know that your mother is safe.
Are you a religious person, Vitus?
I was only taught war. And that's all I know.
Might I ask you one question? I hope you do not take this personally. But what are you? I have not seen any other like yourself. You are no elf, nor a human, yet you walk like one. You speak like one.
I am a humanoid, yes, as is shown objectively by my own figure, but I am a Githyanki.
I've never heard of your people before.
I am a children of Gith, our long and prosperous leader who has been dead millennia. My people are not the sort you'd like to trifle with, let's just say that. But I, on the other hand, do not hold much of their beliefs the same way they do. I am much less rigid and prefer the company of my own, so to speak. What else would you like to know?
I don't know. About you? About your party? You all seem a group of strangers who have somehow trudged into a dangerous land rife with danger. I hear from your friend Jermaine. He said that you've lost one of your own party members on your way here.
Yes.
Was he close to you?
We had only known him for 3 or 4 days, I believe, so not that I would say no.
The goblins will continue to be as troublesome and as dangerous as you've encountered them if they are left unchecked.
Yes, but I believe that there are more dangers ahead. Our primary objective is something known as the anomaly, deep into the valley of death. I just think that now.
Interesting. So you are already hired by someone else then, Onuk?
Yes, I told you we are from the Neverwinter Academy.
Ah, I
And
see.
we are...
You've come seeking this location then?
Well, more about the people that are lost there, or so we know. Have you ever heard of this anomaly before?
I know of the location, but I have never been there myself.
Do you know some people who have been there?
To tell you the truth of it, Icewind Dale is a really dangerous place, and you are on the periphery of Icewind Dale. You stand on the periphery of the Reghead Glacier, a place so dangerous that very few people even deem to make themselves live in such a place. So no to your answer. Nobody's ever wanders towards these parts, unless they are motivated by money or something else.
Well, our case would be the former, I believe, for most of us. But I do know that someone like Raven might be interested in what scholarly arts he can accomplish.
Scholarly arts does he intend to find out here? It is but a barren wasteland, isolated, filled with snow, ice, cold, and death. I do not know what you intend to find out there.
It has taken people much less than that to venture into the unknown, and terror is vast and unrelenting.
So you are explorers then, not just mercenaries.
Well, I for one, yes. I am exploring this
And
so to
scholars,
speak, plane.
scholars, as Craven has put himself as well. You are quite a mixed lot, I have to admit.
Yes. But somehow, apart from an unprecedented death along this route, I think we are performing quite well.
Well, I hope you continue doing well. For all of our sakes. I
Yes.
think I will call it a night myself.
Yes. Go sleep. You need it for your enchantments.
She wakes up, heads back into the igloo, leaving you outside, alone, for the next couple of hours.
I have donkey.
The donkey is just a few feet away from you.
I have donkey.
And can I check if the donkey is cold?
He's still alive, actually.
No.
Frozen
That's
piece
an
of
8 gold.
donkey.
That's an 8 gold investment, right?
You head towards the donkey.
Problems.
The donkey is
Problem solved.
fast asleep.
I just look at the donkey and
It's
kind
fast as death.
of think to myself and mutter, who does Drumble talk to this most? Is there something that I'm not
How
seeing?
much do Russians
And just kind of nudge away the thought and just continue back
How much did
looking at the outskirts of the igloo.
How many Russians?
As you enter back into the igloo, a couple of hours go by, and you go to sleep after waking Drunrel, who takes his next watch. 2 hours in, he wakes all of you up to start your day. You would need to consume 1 piece of ration. All of you collectively take the benefits of a long rest. Since none of you doffed your armor, we have any exhaustion, then you cannot remove it. And I think that's it.
With regards to the book, the enchanting book, who should I leave the book with? Because surely I'm not the correct person to hold this.
We can hold the book and then we can use it whenever we need it to.
But perhaps I should leave it here in the igloo, given that she is the only one who's capable of enchanting our weapons.
Well, you would need to leave a weapon alongside with it if you intend for me to start work on it.
That too, but
It will not be instant, might I remind you. It is a process which takes at least a few couple of days.
Do we have enough money for the enchantment?
you have to pay up front.
Indeed.
Then we don't have any.
I only have 11 gold.
I have 9 or 7 gold.
No. We'll leave the book here. Once we gather enough gold and a decent weapon to arm it with, we'll return.
Yes.
Let me put this somewhere because otherwise we'll forget it. So I'll put it under valuables and stored items, and I'll call it Dualdon Shelter. Huh?
No, call it like enchantment, Book of Bane.
No, as in the place where we're going.
Categories.
Book of Bane.
Book of Bane.
Book of Bane. That sounds like
I was born in the Dualdon.
But just so you know, like it's not a spell book, because Bane is also a spell. This is an enchantment book of Bane.
Which is
And
one-time use.
Enchantment book of pain.
Enchantment book of pain.
Alright? So, we consume one piece of ration.
Should we keep individual track of rations or should we have someone?
You consider like we start to actually keep distributed stuff, kind of.
I would suggest against that.
Yeah.
In the case that one of you who has possession of all the rations potentially being felled in combat, then you lose all access of your food.
No, we still
Still
have.
their dead body.
We still have the rations would still be distributed evenly. It's just that one person just subtracts the rations.
Assuming they have a body still left to pilfer through like this. These lands, like I said, are wild and savage, and I would not take it past them to rob them even of a lifeless corpse.
True.
We'll divide the system. Leave it, Alyssa.
So how many rations per person do we have?
I have 5 left.
No, but we have
We
36.
have
total.
36, we ate one now, so we have 32 left.
Okay. 32 days. And we're distributing the rations evenly between us. So it's not yeah.
Come on.
So divide by 4 is 8 rations per person.
8 rations. That's already deducted from the ration for today.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, minimum.
8 rations per person, and the donkey has 5 days of feed. Shall we commence our route? Or shall we pass? Well, just because he's not here, we'll use him to mark our location. We have the donkey here and the cart, and we're here. So my suggestion is,
Perhaps we should start from the outskirts.
it's these 3, so this is the first one we check in either way.
Yeah.
And then it
Then
depends
we go
on,
in and then we go out there.
and then it depends on what we see here, either we go here or here. My suggestion would do like this, and I don't know.
That's it.
So, we intend to move into this hex.
Okay. Which hex? Sure, go ahead and move him. Marshy, go there, by the way.
By the way, is Dronril accompanying us, or is he staying with us?
Mirko, can you add some things to the stored items?
Yeah.
50 feet of rope.
Wait, in the shelter, if you
Yes. 50 feet of rope. Water skin. Tinder box.
One second, must be the tinder box.
Well, assuming out the road, what I
Sure.
And cartographer stools.
You're leaving the donkey and cart, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Leave just.
And Drunder's over there, and Drunder is behind you. This, where will I?
Yeah. We need like a party marker.
Of course, Mark. We can use dice. Are they in the map? Let's move the boards down because we're not using it anymore. We just want to move the map. It's here. Can you move the candles, please, Mirko? That's good enough. It's good enough to understand everything.
Okay.
Jermaine, you take the lead. Shield worn on your back, sword belted by your side. You lead the party into the Lonelywood. Collectively, your feet strandles into fresh white snow as you walk by the bristling pine wood trees of the Lonelywood forest. The weather is sunny, a welcoming sight for the first time in the last few days. And you make good progress, heading constantly into the forest itself.
By the way, when a weapon is damaged, what do you get? -1 damage?
And mine's will hit.
And -1 hit?
Let me double check actually, just to be sure.
Wait, like, is my armor damaged or is my
It's
shield
-1,
damaged?
-1.
Is my armor damaged or is my shield?
We would need to roll for that if you have a shield and an armor piece.
No.
You as well?
Yes.
Alright, so, okay. So in your case it's the shield, in your case it's the armor. Son.
Fuck it, I'll remove the shield and fight the handed with my weapon, man.
Very weapon master.
Actually, it's versatile, look, I'm sorry. Versatile is like an next die, in 1d8 did you want the 10 and on you?
Did you want the 10 also? What's the effect?
And on here, just go the next die up. Let me check.
You're sad, right?
Wagon xinti jkun normalment, meta assuming li kelkom wagon, x'benefits kienu
No idea.
Just carrying capacity naħseb.
I think so.
Okay. Bil biex nara the amount of travel speed you have.
Take 1 to 10. Where's that?
1 to 10?
Yes.
Yeah, apparently I could drive it with proficiency because I have vehicles land.
Yes.
I can.
Take it. Smash fighters.
And towards noon, collectively, you stop after traveling half a day's worth of travel into the Lonelywood forest. You find yourself surrounded now by pine trees everywhere, covered with white dust and this ominous yet sense of calm and serene which permeates through the forest. You settle down and take some bits of rations and you rest for a few minutes. It is a stark comparison from the constant stretching of your boots across the snow, and you hear for the first time like the actual silence of the wood itself. It is as quiet as it can be, except for the occasional breeze of the wind or the chirp of a distant bird. You find yourselves, after a few minutes, packing up whatever equipment or bits of armor you doffed off for this small rest, and you continue heading further into the forest. You continue during the afternoon, traveling. And about 6 hours in, you've collectively traveled a day's worth of travel on this hex. As nighttime comes, what do you do?
No watchtower.
No watchtower so far.
We stop camp. We put up some bonfires.
Yes. But is it cold? Is it cold?
It's cold, yes.
It is cool.
It is cold.
But it's not, blizzard cold.
We must
I
set
think
fire.
yes, we should still set up campfires.
So, tents, we have 2 each. So 2 and 2. I stay with Brunner, they stay the 2 of them.
Okay.
We set up a fire.
Okay.
I give advantage to him because he's got the best survival.
Survival check, please.
Advantage.
The survival is +3, I think, so it should be 11.
Within 11, you manage to get a fire started.
Yes.
What else do you do?
I think we just take watch in turns and
Same.
same order.
I also set up alarm around that.
You set up alarm, and the 4 of you go to bed in your own backpacks, resuming your constant watch, I assume, starting
We
with.
do not doff our
Brave
armor
Friend.
because I think everyone's
There's no
on
issue.
right?
You take the first couple of hours within the silence of the wood itself. 2 hours go by uneventful. As you go to sleep, you rouse up Jermaine. You take the next watch. Your feet feel tired, you feel exhausted, but a bit recovered after yesterday's fight. You feel better and prepared for what might be to come. 2 hours go by without any sort of trouble. You wake up Vitus, and you take the third watch. You warm yourself by the dying embers of the campfire to keep yourself as warm as you can. Though the trees around you, you realize within the foot, offer some manner of wind-breaking shelter. A welcome respite after traveling on the verges of the Lonelywood and being battered by the elements. 2 hours go by uneventful. And finally, you wake up John, who takes the fourth watch. He wakes you up at dawn without any events occurring. What do you guys do?
So we take our daily rations.
So we're down to 28, right?
Yeah, we're down to 7 each. We have no donkey to feed. And so we move on to the next tile.
And which tile would that be?
Guys, this one, this one, this one? Yep, this one. Can I move it?
No, minus one vision. Oh.
You start march for the second day into the next piece of the forest. A slight drizzle of snow starts to fall, and during the later hours in the morning that snow intensifies a bit. It's not blizzard level snow, and the wind is relatively calm, specifically because of your current location amidst all of this foliage. But the snow does pile in, and it does start to impede you a little bit. As you approach towards the last part of the day, with this marching order in hand, you realize that you've covered some ample ground this particular day. However, comparing to the amount of distance you had covered the last day, you assume that you've only covered half as much. What do you guys do as the sun starts to set for the second day?
Same process before, I think. Set up fire, set up watch, go to sleep. And alarm as well, I think.
Sure, I take it back. You don't cover half the Shismu. Let me rewind a bit. So, sorry, because I changed the loot tables a bit for how weather works. Because I realized it was getting a bit too heavy, yes, and too stormy as well. And so the way it works is if it accumulates over more than a single day, where the hex starts counting as difficult. Now, however, I've rolled for how long the snowstorm will last, and it will take more than 2 days. But so far, you've traveled at +1 hex.
So we're there now.
Yes, you are. Towards the afternoon, as you continue marching with this marching order, the 4 of you, eventually, you come across what seems to be in the far distance a bit of a clearing in the forest. And what seems to be like some sort of isolated wooden tower, rising as high as the pine trees basically surrounding you. And what do you guys do as you approach it?
I have spotted the tower. It's over there.
I see.
Over there.
Okay.
So that is the towers that Catriona spoke of, where her mother, King Bermuda, is residing.
So perhaps the first thing we should do is recon ahead and see if there are how many goblins there are.
Who's the best at scouting?
I heard Drundrel is a forest boy.
Perhaps
He
the one with
does
the highest,
resemble a gorilla a bit.
one with the highest perception, perhaps. Highest ability to perceive things. Excuse me.
+2.
That's what.
+3. Drunel, how much plus personal awareness you have?
General perception, you mean?
Yes.
Let me see.
I mean, it's a barge, huh?
Yeah, guess how we know.
You know, Jade Chevaliers. Yeah.
Not on.
His perception is a +1.
Jermaine! We call upon your human eyes.
Perhaps you
What do your human eyes
should
see?
remove your armor to be more stealthy.
I don't think I'm going to be getting that close. I would need to doff my armor. Perhaps if I had to, I would eventually. But I think for now we can just look from a distance. Would scouting ahead constitute a investigation or a perception check?
So,
Or some other check? What would it?
well, at this point in time, if you I'll describe what you see. Like in front of you, at least 100 meters further up, scoured amidst the tree line or so, you see flickers of light, presumably some sort of campfire, in the late hours of the afternoon, as well as a clear wooden structure, which is obviously it stands out a bit from the countless wooden pine trees surrounding you. What seems to be a watchtower of sorts. That's the only thing you see though at the moment.
Okay, so I try to inch a bit closer. So right now we're in some sort
What
of.
time is it actually?
It is the late afternoon. It's still daylight,
It's still there. Should we
and there is a light snowfall falling around you.
should we investigate now? At night it would be more dangerous. So like goblins, who can see us when we don't see them.
I agree.
Yes, I agree. Let's before we head in, let's try to see if there's perhaps a less goblin-populated part of the watchtower that we can go through first.
But then it would be night time.
I don't think it would take that long, right? It's just 100 meters ahead of us.
Right. Okay. Yes.
So I inch closer. So are we in a sort of clearing, or are we in a cover, or?
So far at the moment where you've stopped collectively because you at the forefront, you've spotted this. You are still kind of walking through the forest. No clear passageway, no road, like it's just surrounded by forests and snow basically. So you're still in the thick of it, might I say.
Alright. Yeah. So I think we sort of try to get a bit closer. Try to stay behind trees. Try to stay out of the lines of sight of the goblins, and get as close as we can without being seen.
Okay. Since you're moving and trying to stay out of their line of sight, if there are goblins, I would need everybody to make a stealth check, please.
I think there's a DC, right? So there's some disadvantage with armor.
You have chainmail?
Yes.
Then no.
14.
3. Any goblins?
The four of you trudge up through the snow. In some parts of it you realize it's quite thick with the amount of downfall coming down. You leading the front get closer and closer towards this clearing. The trees themselves start to open up a bit, and you start making out more clearly what is in front of you. There is a bit of a ramshackle clearing where bits of trees have been cut down to make space, presumably the same logs being used for the now 20-foot watchtower, which lies within the middle of this open clearing, surrounded by pine trees covered with snow. You see that there are wooden barriers further down a bit as well, and what seems to be like bits of flame, like specifically one open source of flame, a campfire. As you continue kind of surveying all of this, you collectively aim to stop behind the closest tree overlooking the clearing to get a better view. And as you trudge towards it, you realize that the snow suddenly gives way from beneath your feet, and you fall down a hidden pit.
Oh no.
Walking behind you, Drunril also suddenly vanishes from sight as he is also swallowed by another hidden pit.
The 10-foot pole just for this.
So, you take 2 points of falling damage, bludgeoning, and Drunril takes 5.
Okay. So
And we're okay. Me and Craven.
Yeah, the two of you are okay.
HP.
However, you also hear high-shrill cries coming from the camp.
What was that? Ah, maybe we've got some prey. I could do with another squirrel roasting on this fire. Jeffrey, come with me. Let's go see what food we have in store.
Jeffrey.
As I hear that, I cast minor illusion over the closest bit, so his, and as if it's covering.
Okay.
Covering.
And
I just
what do you
attempt
do?
to hide. I take out my sword and shield. Oh, actually, just my sword.
Then after I would go as far there away as possible and
Using
try
your
to-
I try to hide opposite the noises, kind of.
Is the bit sort of just a hole, or is it exposed on one part towards the tower?
it's a like a four-faced cube downwards.
Okay.
I need two of you to make stealth checks. And I need you also to make a deception check to see how well the illusion holds.
Big 21.
Seven stealth.
Seven stealth, okay.
I'm very stealthy.
If a creature must use its action to examine this sound or image, the creature can determine if it's an illusion with a successful intelligence check against your spell self DC.
Okay, which is?
13.
Alright. So you see that two goblins, garbed in similar clothing and vestments as those you've already fought in your previous two fights, slowly wade their way through the snowfall coming down around you. And you, Craven, lie silently behind the rock, calm as ever, kind of gazing around, hearing the crunch of the little feet coming closer and closer. And then you hear their crunch through the snow stop. And one of them speaks out in a shrill voice.
I thought you heard something, you stupid fool. There's nothing here. Nothing whatsoever.
And the other goblin responds,
Shh. I heard something. Maybe there's a wild hawk behind that rock. You go from here, it'll come from behind, and we'll ambush it.
and they look at each other. And you hear their footsteps coming closer to you
I take a reaction
from both sides.
to assume that the first one I see from either side, I go and try to lob its head off.
Do I see this?
You do, yes.
I'll also take a reaction to cast Ray of Sickness.
Okay.
On which one? On this? That's
Also,
one.
I want to cast Mage Armor on myself.
Well, you'll have to decide.
Before that.
Okay.
While
Because
they're
this-
walking towards him, then I prepare myself.
Yes, but this is like
Okay,
it's-
okay.
So what do you do?
So I'll cast this spell.
One of them approaches the rock, and you can hear it coming closer and closer. And first, what you see emerging from behind the rock that you're trying to hide in is the point of a spear, and then the goblin weighs into view and looks at you. What do you do? Make an attack roll.
19.
Hits.
Versatile one, did that? Oh. 3 points of slashing, but psionic star.
I think you're about
Damage 2. Plus 2. So that's 7 points of damage total.
Wait, you dealt how many points of damage level? 3?
3 slashing, 4
So 3
force,
plus 2.
plus another 2 intelligence modifier.
I see.
So
What about the other goblin who
7
you've
points of
readied
psionic.
a reaction for?
is it dead? Is it dead? Oh no, it's not dead.
14.
super heavy goblin.
Hits. Wait, does it hit actually?
I think goblins have 13 AC.
Maybe not these goblins.
Unless they're super goblins.
Super heavy
No,
goblin.
goblins have 15 AC.
They
50, I
have
think.
15, yes. And their armor, they have a high dex. You cast Ray of Sickness. The goblin who's just seen his ally being skewered by a humanoid alien
Yes.
Goblin one.
shouts out and says, "Pigs! No, not pigs!
not human yet.
Roll for initiative. Alright. Initiative.
Sorry,
first?
Mela, initiative is goblins first.
The Gabbos. Alright, Mela.
The goblins are thinking long and hard on how to.
So, the goblin over here, which you can't really make out exactly, but you hear a high-pitched voice, but a bit more intimidating than your generic goblin voice, who says,
We've got visitors here.
Physicists.
Visitors. Also visitors.
Loosen the wolves. Yeah.
and he rushes over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Drunril can speak to animals. Drunril can convince these wolves
Uses
Fight with us.
to fight with us.
bonus action to dash.
Wait, bonus action to that.
No, they can't. Disengage attack, sorry. So just dashes.
Cunning action.
And the goblin over there, up top, will retreat to river to the person safety of the camp. So he will dash all the way behind that first rock over here if he can make it.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Or behind the barrel for cover. Yeah, over there. This goblin archer over here. Well, he can't see Jermaine and Drunril because both of you are in the pit. So
Where's the pit, speaking of? And what?
we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This guy moves a bit forward. 6. And he will try and take a shot at you, who is in partial cover. AC.
17. Plus 2, which becomes a 19.
Okay. Incision -1 for AC.
Yeah, I don't have the shield, that's
Plus
why.
shield.
I start with 17 without the shield. I'm wielding my sword to hand it, so plus 2 with light cover becomes a 19.
Okay, and the goblins have plus 2 to hit, so 18 doesn't hit. The arrow flies, busts you. Awfully close, but still doesn't hit you, thanks to the tree. This guy over here with the spear will dash behind the rock over there. Another one? To the right? No, to the other side, yeah. This goblin over here will dash adjacent to him, to the goblin. And this is the field terrain. He can skip over, so it's
2, 3, 4,
Yes, I
5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11.
yeah, good enough. Okay. The archers on the top, they don't see Vidas. I'm not sure they can see. They see the two of you, but you're in a pit. So they'll be rolling with. You have like heavy cover over there. So I'll start with you. Jermaine doesn't hit. Drunril doesn't hit either. This goblin over here will use his action to untie those two wolves.
Okay.
And the wolves will surge forward 40 feet.
Do they act in the goblin's turn?
They are, yes. But technically I should roll separately for that.
Up to you, that if you do.
So they are at initiative step 10.
They come. Alright, okay. Well, I will put them at them.
Okay, so this is the goblin section, and then he will 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This guy will go around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and dash. And this guy over here will 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dash.
Okay.
That is goblin's turn.
Mela, Drunril.
So Drunril will use his action to climb out of the hole.
That's an action to climb out.
He will bonus action rage and move towards the nearest goblin. Okay, who's next?
Craven.
I will peek out. And cast Ray of Sickness on this. Actually, do I get any disadvantages if I
They are in heavy cover over there.
recover? Heavy cover plus 5, right?
Yes.
I'll go for this guy since
Why is this? Can you pull people off high places?
No, but I can take someone up. How high is the watchtower?
I miss.
Roughly 20 feet up.
I missed.
So you cast Ray of Sickness onto which goblin?
This guy.
Over there, and you see them, actually specifically two of them, rushing towards that wolf, and they seem to be fumbling in whatever reins or ropes are tying this wolf. You cast the spell, a necrotic bolt of energy, which hits the rock and fragments it, sending the two goblins cowering, and one of them shrieking, "Ah! They have sparks!" Who's next?
Next is Vidus.
So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
How many goblins do we see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
But this guy used his dash to engage onto the wolf over here.
Oh, okay.
He's riding the wolf.
Yes.
Fucking. Okay, so Vidus will move towards. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, I don't have enough distance to cover, so I will just dash. At least take cover from those. Yeah, that's my turn.
Who's next?
Wolves.
Oops.
Okay. So the wolf up top is tied up, so he cannot move for now. But he will use his free action the moment he is untied. He will bound in that direction. Whereas these wolves over here will dash. Well, what's the fray? 1, 2, 3. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 11, on it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, who's next?
Jimmy.
Oh, and I have the big wolf, like, who about him. But he actually hasn't been untied yet because he had to dash, never mind. He will use his reaction to move the moment he's untied.
Jimmy.
One question. Being right underneath the tower, does it protect you from the arrows of the goblins inside the tower? So, for example, if you're right adjacent to the tower, can they still attack?
You can use your free action to make an insight or an investigation check on that.
I'd like to make an investigation check. And I get a 9.
With 9, as you try and peer out from the hole that you are in, you can't exactly make out sure how safe it is at the bottom of the tower, given that there is trees, goblins, and Vidus in between you.
Okay. So I get out of the pit, and is that difficult?
That is an action to get out.
An action, okay. Okay, yeah, then I'll use my action to get out of the pit. And 1, 2, 3, and I stay here behind the rock. And this gives me a heavy cover from the tower, right?
It does indeed, yes. Who's next?
Top of the round, the goblins.
Goblins. So the two at the very top, they will take shots towards. Actually, quite well hidden from them. And one of them sees the dwarf, though he is in cover. The other one barely sees you, but you're also in cover. So I'll start with the shot against Ronru. Doesn't hit. Second shot doesn't hit either. The tree is offering ample foliage as you approach the
I am a soldier.
watchtower. This goblin over here will untie the warg, and the warg
Warg, it's a warg.
bounce upwards.
It's a warg.
1, 2, 3, not 1,
What's a warg?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the creature will dash. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
The pit, can I jump over it?
Yes. But it doesn't cost you anything because it's like a long jump. The goblin over there will untie the wolf who was previously tied, and the wolf will use its reaction to move. So, difficult terrain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Dash over there. These two goblins. This one will 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This guy will move adjacent to you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Over there, and those two goblins will attack the dwarf. So, both of them hit, one of them crits him. So, go for it.
Nalla u xarba li ħor. Ma twilhom kisser.
No, 5 plus 7, 12 plus 3. So 15 points of damage divided by 2. 7. Okay. Plus the 3 damage he had taken originally. So far it's done. What other goblins do I have? Huh? Għandi skriptu mux taħdem sew biex jibbasja li dirett fuq xismu. Ma nafx għax xemmek. 1, 2, 3, 4. Taw sparaw, Goblin's turn is done.
Okay, next is Drundel. I guess he strikes back. Gorilla style.
Mux ħanuża berserk action. Ħajatakka l-ewwel wieħed. Cocked. Roll a 3. Doesn't hit. Who's next?
Craven.
Well, I'll cast Mage Armor on myself. Move 5. Jump over this.
Vidus. I need to start getting rid of these peeps. So I strike at the goblin first.
Okay.
Try to aim for the lower ones. 19 plus 4, which is then a d10, which is 5 points of damage, which I'm assuming is not dead.
He is not.
So I use my psionic strike to
Just wizard things.
deal an extra 4 points of force damage to the goblin.
Total off.
9.
He's dead.
To which I use my bonus action to regain some of my psionic power I just spent in cutting down that goblin.
Can we use the goblin's name?
2.
Okay.
I'm keeping track. And yeah, that's basically it so far. That's my turn. The next one would be the wolves. No, where's the level 3?
Alright, so there are how many wolves adjacent to Vidus at the moment?
One small one, one big one.
So the small one, the wolf, will make a bite action against you.
Okay, 17 easy.
And he has pack tactics. I'll give some advantage.
The opposite size of it.
The wolf has advantage on attack rolls against the creature if at least one of the wolf's allies is within 5 feet of the creature and the ally is in the state. AC?
17.
He actually bites into your armor and his teeth bite into your flesh for a total of 8 points of piercing damage. The warg will make a bite action as well against you. And he does not have back tactics, so very interesting. But he rolled 19.
Oof.
And his bite is significantly bigger.
Big bites.
You take, that is a total of 11 piercing damage.
I'm going to use Protective Field as a reaction to try and reduce some of that damage.
Okay?
Oh, nice. I reduce 8 points of damage, so I only take 3.
And I need to make a strength saving throw.
Okay. Strength. 12.
The warg grabs you by the arm as his teeth bite into your flesh, shakes you around and knocks you down prone.
Oh shit.
The other wolf over there, at the very back, he will rush forward. So he has dashed all the way here. Who's next?
So after me, it's after the wolves, it's Jermaine.
Okay. So I would like to walk under this tree, and I would like to attack the goblin. Let's see. Just a regular attack. Oh, 18 plus
Yes.
something. That's yeah, plus 5. That's 4 plus 5, 9 on the goblin.
Okay. You charge the goblin, and with your blade drawn out now, palm covered in snow, you swipe the goblin, killing him, falling to the ground.
And I would like to walk back without disengaging. 1, 2, 3.
Okay. Attack for opportunity. You see?
That would be. Now I have -1, right? So. 17. I would like to perform a riposte.
He didn't hit you.
Yes. I like to, riposte is on a miss melee attack. So on a miss melee attack, I can use my reaction to expend 1 spirit die to make a melee weapon attack against the creature. 16 plus 5, that's 21.
And your damage, right? Of superiority.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I should check out the goblin. That's
Ooh, 15 at least.
15 plus 5, that's 20.
Yeah, I think the wolf doesn't have that much HP.
So you jump over the pit as you see the goblin and the wolf rushing up to you. You jump over the pit, shield ready. You brace off the first attack by the wolf. With the blade, you swipe the goblin, killing him instantly. The wolf comes out for a second bite, but you jump the sword into its neck, downing its head into the snow. And you rush back, behind the rock, ready to guard Craven. Who's next?
I believe it's the top of the round, so the goblins once again.
Goblins. Goblin.
The goblin who is on top of the warg shouts out and he says,
Yes, sick him, boy! Sick him! Kill him! Since you're a snack!
and the goblin will attack you with advantage
You can attack me.
because you are prone. AC please.
17.
Yeah.
17.
Okay. Doesn't hit you. Second attack.
2 attacks, goblin.
He crits you.
Holy shit.
For a total of 9 slashing damage. As you see the goblin from where you're at, now with your back in the snow, his scimitar swiping from up above from the beast. First one you miss, second one, however, he rakes you across your stomach as he cuts through your armor.
And it does what? It degrades my armor as well.
It does, yes.
Yeah, the crit system is a bit overloaded, I'm not gonna lie.
And that is his turn. Then there is, I think, another goblin, right?
Dan
next to
zie
you.
ik just swords, just armor, just not fucking.
MC goblin Johanna, Dave?
No.
Okay, so that guy will...
Mr. Stepan,
No.
But he's going to dash,
Level 5.
jump over the hole, and I want him in between Jermaine and Craven. With a dash. Over there, yeah. The goblin over there will move adjacent to the dwarf, all the way adjacent to Craven, and he will take an attack roll against you, Craven. AC
15.
So he comes rushing towards you, and he slams the mace into your invisible shield, and his hands immediately repulse it back. The goblin adjacent to the dwarf will attempt to spear him, but the dwarf merely laughs it off. And this goblin over here will sidestep 1, 2, 3, 4, and take a shot against you, Craven. He fires an arrow shot, comes flying towards you, the shaft is broken by your ward. The goblin over here will dash across the barrier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So all the way over there, just one more. And the two goblins from the watchtower, they will take shots from a very nice spot up there with the tree in between. So one of the goblins can't see you at all. The other one will fire on the dwarf with cover. It doesn't hit.
Don't really. Assuming there are no dwarves left. Oh, no goblins left.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I don't think there are though. Okay, so the dwarf. No, naturally. Who's next?
Craven.
Here and cast cause fear on the wolf.
War.
On the dwarf. Okay.
So he has to do a wisdom saving throw.
DC?
Thank you.
So you move from behind the rock, open your spellbook, find the exact page, and in a matter of seconds you cast the ritual, speaking in your necrotic foreign language, which Jermaine next to you cannot understand as he fends off the goblins. From behind you, Jermaine. However, the creature who is clearly intent on biting the crap out of the prone Vitus is oblivious to you, and he doesn't even acknowledge you. What do you do?
It's too stupid to feel fear.
Nothing.
Alright.
So, next up is me.
Venus.
Can I wake up?
Venus.
Yes, half your movement, yes.
Okay. As a bonus action, first I use what the hell is it? Second wind, so I can heal. Please, that'll be 10. Oh, God damn it! Yeah, I need help. I need help.
Magic inspiration.
Sorry.
Magic inspiration.
No. I strike the ward.
Okay.
At this point, intent on burying it in my stomach. Fuck me.
Fuck me. Fuck me. How much?
No,
Not enough.
Not enough. Definitely not enough.
You get up hastily, and as you get up, the warg tries to wrap its jaw around your neck, which you deflect with a sudden punch to the side of its claw, and then it comes around for a second attack, which you try to use your advantage to graze it, but since you're recovering, you don't hit.
I use my action surge and target the wolf instead.
Alright.
Disengage and leave.
No, 13.
What is this?
13. And
No,
I'll attack on the wolf.
What was the other mana thing you tried?
An attack on the ward.
But you have one attack?
I use action surge.
Disengage
I
right
understand.
Huh?
Disengage right later.
I only have 15 movement, man.
And?
On the prone.
What did you get?
13.
13 hits.
I actually woke up from prone.
Yeah.
4 points of slashing. Is it dead?
4 points of slashing damage is not enough.
Psionic strike.
Go ahead.
Oh shit, and freeze.
7 points of force damage more.
To a total of 10.
11.
Alright. So as the creature comes back for another bite, you with your sword charge it up psionically. You graze the creature from one side, then bring it around, scratching it across its maw. It rears back for a couple of steps, blood dripping from its maw.
It's still alive. 11?
Who's next?
It's a warg.
No, the warg, not the warg.
I thought it's a warg.
The wolf. The wolf. Sorry, they both start with W.
And
Actually, I know that has a lot of fucking HP. I wanted to attack on it, but since I couldn't get one, I wanted the wolf.
The wolf is killed.
Okay, so with 4 points of damage, was it killed before?
No.
No. Okay. Assumed as much. Time I just wanted to double check.
Ja, jena aspekt nejn, għana t-4 points of damage in the warg.
The wolf. The wolf.
What else do you do?
That's it. I mean, I can't really do anything else.
Give it to me.
So I use this, so I pass my turn to
Wolves.
the wolves.
Wolves. So you say...
This is where I would have needed telekinetic.
True. Oh my god. Misty Step, telekinetic. The other one?
The wolves.
I have jump as a spell.
What is it?
Yeah? She jumps. Action for 1 minute, I triple my jump distance.
Boy.
So
I can
18.
jump up to the top. 17.
It just hits you.
There you go.
Just.
I need to make a strength saving throw, please.
How much damage first?
And you take a total of 14 piercing.
Yeah, I'm going to use my protective field, my last psionic die. So 5 points minus 5, that takes it down to 9, so I'm down to 4 HP.
The two of you behind the rock see Vidus clearly struggling for his life. As the wolf once more clutches him from the arm all the way to the shoulder and starts dragging him around like a ragdoll.
15 strength.
And you this time manage to break free without being knocked prone. That's the only wolf, right? Left on the table. Who's next? There's another guy over there, okay. So that guy will 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So he will dash all the way next to Vidus. Yeah. Next.
After the wolves is Jermaine.
Okay.
So here's my free action. I don't want to be Frank.
Okay.
To be franked.
I move without disengaging. So what's movement over this bit?
It's just your normal movement because you're jumping up over it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one can make an opportunity.
He swipes you, but misses.
I perform a riposte. That's 20 plus 5. I miss. 7. No. And I try to perform a menacing attack on the big wolf.
Oh,
the board.
menacing attack.
Actually, I have to hit it first. And I get a 19 plus
Yes.
5, that's 24. So the wolf needs to make a wisdom
The wolf.
save. Sorry, the warg. The warg needs to make a wisdom save against DC 13.
Fails.
Fails it. On a failed save, it is frightened of you until the end of your next turn.
But do you actually damage it?
Yes, I 2d8.
Frightened and needs to use its full movement to run, right?
No, the creature can't willingly move closer to the source of its fear. Trace it up, I know. In addition, he has disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls while the source of its fear is within line of sight.
At least.
Oh. Come on, what's the... 4 plus 5, 9. That's plus another 5, that would be 14.
Damage.
Yes.
So how do you describe this attack? Because I'm not exactly sure how to picturesque it.
I don't know, like
So-
he's warding off the
I,
war kind of like menacing. He's trying to act intimidating, tough, like trying to push it back, trying to scare it.
I bang on my shield before attacking, trying to sort of make as much noise as possible to the wolf, and I sort of try to feint attacking with the shield and then attacking with the sword and try to be as big as I can.
Which you successfully do because as the warg is intent on eating Vidas, you manage to jab your sword to the side. The creature whimpers as it moves a couple of steps away from you, clear of the obvious danger that you pose.
Should I take an extra surge and try to kill it?
I think it doesn't have much HP left. I don't know. I don't know how much it has. Something
I think
between
it's
20 and 30. Not
It's the biggest threat, I think.
not something like. How much did you deal? 14.
14.
And did you roll pretty high? Or
It was a 4 and a 5.
or maybe try to kill the wolf. I mean, because it has disadvantage on its next attack, so it probably won't hit him. But the wolf, I mean, the wolf has more than 11. Oh, sorry, no, less than 11. Or 11 or less.
Alright, I will.
Up to you.
This
How
would be
much
worth
HP?
your bonus action.
Action
No,
surge.
action search, you just take another action. I have 4 HP left.
4 HP.
I've used my second wind and everything.
Okay, so.
Because the warg has disadvantage, so
Attacks,
the
yes.
chances at all odd it's very low. But the other
The
wolf
other
can
one
still
can-
attack me. And it's pretty easily killable, so maybe you can focus there.
Okay, so.
Next round I'll still take out my shield, so I get at least 1 more AC.
I will use my action surge and I will use a goading strike on the. Actually, should I use a goading strike?
No, just strike normally.
Yeah,
Probably
just-
you'll kill it automatically.
Okay, so I will use
Can
my.
you,
action
do you have an
surge.
action and something to damage it more just in case you haven't killed it?
That will be the superiority die. So.
Exactly, but can you use it after?
Yes. Most battle maneuvers are after hitting.
Okay, very high.
After hitting, not after damage.
Ah, okay.
So, yeah. Anyway, let's see. 14 plus 5, that's 19.
Against the wolf.
Yes, against the wolf. And that would be. I'm just going to do a regular attack. And it is a. 6. Nice.
Plus
5.
4, that's 5.
Yeah, that's 11.
Yeah, then you kill the wolf.
The wolf's dead.
That's good, that's good. Very good.
As the warg retreats from you, the other wolf hesitates for a second, starts to whimper itself, and you slash it to the side, a grievous wound which fells it.
And that's my turn.
Alright, next is the goblins.
Okay, so there are 2 goblins adjacent to you, Craven. They'll go into you. So the one of them, you hear it coming from behind.
Come here,
And with a club, it tries to belittle at you and smash it through your ankle. Yours magical ward blocks the club and the goblin is sent back. However, the other one jumps onto your back with a shiv and shivs you a couple of times on the back until you manage to shock them off and you take 8 points of piercing.
Jeez.
Those 2 goblins adjacent to the dwarf. One of them hits for 5 points, round it down.
Dwarf is
How much strength modifier do you have?
plus 3.
6 times 3.
Yes, plus 3, plus 3.
I can either make a jump 18 feet
Make me jump 18 feet.
for 1 minute.
Okay.
High. I don't think that will be enough to reach the tower.
That's 20 feet.
Or if you move close enough, I can telekinetically move you up to 30 feet.
The goblin on top of the warg slashes his axe towards you and hits you in the shoulder. You take 7 points of slashing damage by this. AC on you.
Wait, how much did they hit them?
You got an 18 without modifiers.
This is goblin.
This is the same goblin over there.
Okay, so 17 AC.
17 AC. He brings his axe this time towards you. However, with the momentum and glee of seeing Vidas fall to the side, he misses you.
I would like to repose.
Okay.
So it's under severe.
Why if you attack the warg or the goblin?
The goblin.
The warg.
Yeah.
I'm in full.
Can he?
I don't know, he's on the mount.
I'm reposting the goblin attack, so I don't know if I can attack the warg. The goblin is on top of the warg, up to you.
But that's what I'm asking. Can you report somebody else? I don't.
No, the creature who misses you.
So it will be against the goblin.
Yeah.
If you want.
What's this? No, never mind. That's 2 plus 5, that's 7, I miss.
You miss because the creature takes a couple of steps back, missing your swipe. The goblin laughs out in a gleeful, light voice. He says,
One of them is down. You're next. Our chief will accept you with open arms.
who's next?
After the goblins is Drunred.
Berserk attack on the guy with the spear. Actually, he tried to attack the guy behind him who was adjacent to Craven. And that's advantage. Hits. It came down an X, 1d12.
Yeah, 1d12. Plus 2, plus 2.
Athletics?
Plus 2, plus 2.
Plus 2 raging, plus 2 strength. Yeah,
Okay. That's it, then it doesn't kill it for one hit point.
Jesus Christ.
Doesn't Goblin fear for its life, at least?
Reroll the 2 on a d12. Just let me roll for d12.
That is the dwarf's turn.
Craven.
I'll cast plus fear again on this guy and on this guy.
You can choose 2 targets.
As a higher level.
Oh, 30, die at 30 hasn't.
Okay, so the goblin on top of the warg and the one adjacent to you.
No. Wisdom saving throw, wisdom saving throw.
فكرني DC.
لا رجع أتفيد.
لا طفو.
So the guy next to you succeeds, however the one on top looks towards you. You see him rearing on the beast, trying to shake it away from you. Fear has taken effect and you see it in the goblin's eyes.
For 1 minute, disadvantage.
Yeah, it was within sight of you. Who is next?
Vidus, so.
You. Next.
Woods.
Heal! Heal!
So,
I'm helping!
the warg against you, Jermaine.
So the dwarf has fear.
The warg has fear.
He's afraid of me. So I think he has some disadvantages.
He has disadvantage against you.
I think that's all it is.
You see the warg hesitate for a second, ushered by the goblin on top of him.
Forward, you stupid creature! Forward!
He lunges out for a bite, but you block with your shield. That's the wolf's turn. Who's next?
Jermaine.
You mean as frightened? Do I have underclothes? No, I can't really move close. But I had some advantage. Okay, so I strike the wolf, and let's see if I hit first. Okay, nice. That's 21.
Hits. Against the warg, right?
Yes, against the wolf, sorry, not against the wolf. And let's see. I perform actually, yeah, I should perform a menacing attack again. So the dwarf needs to make a DC 13 wisdom save.
Failed.
Failed, okay. Then I roll a very cool. 7 plus 5, that's 13, right? No, 12, sorry. 12 and 12 plus another 5, that's 17. So 17 damage on the work.
So kill the 14 out, so that's 31.
Yeah, he's dead.
Yes!
You kill the creature, the goblin on top of him. I am not sure whether he needs to roll something because of mounts.
That's my last spirit then.
So check your armor, please.
So you know what?
Mounted combat.
Mounted. Oh, so you have to mounted combat.
I mean, honestly, like if your mount is knocked prone, you can use your reaction to dismount it as it falls and land on your feet. Otherwise, you are dismounted and fall prone in space within
So
5
I
feet of
use
it.
this reaction to remain standing.
Okay.
What else do you do?
That's it. Actually, yeah, that's it. So when you use your reaction, you don't have to make any saves or anything else, or
Sorry?
when you use your reaction to get off, you don't have to make any saves of the mount.
لا.
Jak تمشي منها ما يصيرش يديك وقتك.
That's right. Correct. So I would like to move. Actually, I think I should still stay next to Vidus. Alright, I stay where I am.
Fejn waqgħu?
Awek, eżot u dim.
There you go, you can't really... I mean, just toqgħod wara s-siġra.
Yeah, exactly. So he's used his reaction, so he's not going to take an attack of opportunity, but I don't know what he do to the corpse.
We'll see. Up to you.
I stay where I am,
Who's next? Goblins.
Okay, so the goblin over there will attack you, Jermaine. First one hits. Second attack against you misses.
Okay.
And you take 4 points of slashing damage from his axe.
Jesus, Lily,
And
I'm
those
pushing
are
13.
That's frightened.
Eagle.
Ash?
I frightened.
Eagle.
Ma l-wolf.
Mela ġarru li dik l-qatt.
Iva. Alright. No, it doesn't hit you now.
Very hard.
The goblin, the two goblins adjacent to you, Craven, against you.
Intu zajt l-action, sir?
Shot al-wolf.
One of them hits you for
Għasra 60 bis-second
7 points of slashing. Yeah. And the two goblins adjacent to the dwarf running with advantage. So one of them AC 15, daku. AC 15.
15. Goblins.
Le, mux il-goblins, Drundle.
Ma nafx, ma nafx.
Jista' jkun jżidu xi ħaġa x'ismu? Rage.
Like inqaqat.
Li għandu halving damage.
So 2 of them hit for 7 down to 3, 5 down to 2, 7 points of damage total.
Okay, kemm fara goblins? Kemm fara goblins?
Those two goblins up there will use their movement to come down because they can't see anybody.
Okay, and that's 12 feet up, right?
That's 20 feet up, so then they move 2 squares towards me.
Matthew on 15 AC, yes.
15 is you.
So
Hello, Matthew.
Fejn?
Towards my direction. Yeah. And I think from there they can fire pot shots towards the dwarf, though he's in cover because of the barrier in between.
Hello, Matthew, għat il-mut jien nissa.
Jena tal-mija.
Jien jek nirrolja għan.
They miss.
Probably nisħat li l-nifsi.
Easy, tira l-ash one.
Graven. Le, wait, senna, minna għakti għal-ħar, sorry,
Goblins.
Minna Drunril.
Mux il-għamil?
Mux goblin, exactly.
Alright.
That's what I call it.
Forse xtrit għal wolves, so għessa ġejmi l-għawel.
Wolves ġemejn, alright, issa goblins. Le, Drunril.
Drundle will once more do an attack against the 1 HP goblin.
7, 8.
Hits him and he kills him.
Nice.
Okay.
Craven.
Emboldened is engaged.
Nżef it-toqa, just staba. Minor illusion fuqek.
Kam għandek HP, mela?
Mux biżejjed.
3.
Fuck, man, dal goblins ostja.
And behind the tree.
Where are you going, human meat?
Virus.
Fine.
Oh, let me check.
Let's go. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my fucking god! Holy shit!
Kello fejn deġa.
Ejja, ġab one. Jesus Christ. Holy shit. Lastra, man. Holy shit.
Ay.
Lastra, man.
Maybe some njoraw dik id-dajra.
An act of mercy.
Can we ignore it?
Shit li legit nifsek.
Can I use my inspiration that I don't have?
Xie fajdu, t-slaħħa ġibmon.
Għaxa sejt, alright!
Għax ħaddin għandu inspiration.
Jo, vera, actually.
Matthew għandu inspiration.
Matthew, invent inspiration.
Inspiration ti għaf il-terti u għavetti.
Diri le, jista'
jista' għal roll, actually.
Ma nasibx zużaxa fuq dead saving throw taw.
Allora nisa l-pakket.
Għan iċċekja għandux, ma għam dispieċing l-me.
Etik ta' Twitch.
Avoid the dice first, that you could have roll. Actually, you should roll the 8-1.
taf xirru telaw, il-Twitcher. Erġik t-wahda ment fuq Twitch.
Nasib għedin jaraw bil-delay u ma ċetnarani.
Xina ħadi lejjem, for sure.
Eżda, xi 3 seconds forsi huma.
Le, iktar.
Gorilla Warfare Limited.
Mandux inspiration. Full character sheet.
Oh well, sad day for why this is dead.
Oh no.
You see Vitus takes a turn for the horse on the ground as he chokes in his own blood.
Different block players. Said this
What's the name of your mercenary squad? Jermaine.
Jesus Christ.
Jermaine and Runner, that is a man.
Okay.
Runner come on, HP.
Alright, nisawna l-ora mela.
Srandrin għandu. Fim dakka li 18 damage saħi fili jibdallu. Jibdallu 11.
Allora kif għaddini 20 euro sa għatru t-3 għazzol.
Dispeċin imma miex nirolja once a week jen. All the dice rolls.
La jkellem fili.
Alright.
Sad day.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, nikollok xterik sul
Craven għal ħajna minn, jgħed 3 HP.
Min miss.
Mela, wara Drunner, Craven. Le, Craven meċa sajn. Eżaw, Craven meċa.
Wara Vitus.
Sorry.
Wolves?
Ma m'għandix idea.
Wolves,
Le, Wolves, jien, Jermaine. Jermaine, s-saħem.
Jermaine. I'll attack this goblin.
ħanġa pakket għamela.
19.
19 hits.
7 plus 5, that's 12.
12 damage. 12 damage, you say?
Yes. 12 damage, you say. He's still alive.
So, you see the goblin over there coming towards you with another attack. Was keeping an eye on Craven, who's sprinting from behind the rock, but the moment he sees you fleeing, yes! He's distracted, which means you go for an attack. You hit him, slashing his front.
Flashlight.
Okay.
Who's next?
Wara Jermaine, goblins.
So, I'll start with the goblin in front of you.
Which goblins top of the round, Peter?
Mela, tejli wahda initiative order, għalli niktibom.
Ara, kienu
Goblins,
Drunril, Raven,
Vitus.
Dajet, Wolves 18,
Jermaine.
Mela, goblin in front of you. Sorry, one attack.
Għatandu fear duck? Yo, what? Kemm id-dubli?
He's no longer within line of sight though, of source of fear.
Okay.
First attack comes towards you, which you deflect with a shield. Second attack. He comes towards you, but you clearly see him wounded and tired from his previous injury, and his sword is easily deflected by your own parry. The goblins adjacent to the dwarf over there, they have advantage because of this attack. Doesn't hit. Second one hits for 1 point, no,
1
2 points
billion
of damage.
And he takes 1 damage instead, right?
He takes 2. He should took 4, sorry.
Okay.
The goblin with the sack over there,
Where are you going, flashlight?
and he comes running after you.
I might show a perception check, we should have him
1, 2, 3, 4. He should have enough.
4, 5. Oh, well,
Adjacent to him, attack roll against you. Hits you.
you're dead.
8 points of damage. That, yeah, the Zosh goblin, so.
Let's count ahead and see how many goblins there are. Whoa! 5 minutes later.
An archer takes aim towards you.
I'm the most stealthy, okay, so let's go.
I am not the most stealthy.
The archer dropped 19.3.
Holy fuck.
Rolja max damage. I'm sorry, max damage rolja fuq id-D6.
Ewa, right.
Taqqa 8 points of
Nasib
damage.
Gabriel problema. Tirolja
The goblin against Randall with the rocks, so he has
like
hammer.
damage mela.
Bħalissa, kama minn dak first?
You 8.
8. So 10. He had 14 HP plus.
Randall doesn't take damage because of the rocks. Who is next? After goblins, Randall. Randall will...
I think it's like disengaging, run away. I should kill the leader first.
Okay, he's going to make an attack roll against one of the goblins in front of him. Reckless attack. Hits him for... No. There's already a 2 for next.
Jien nasib Gabriel problema.
6 points of damage. Minimus.
You know.
Craven.
Craven, can I save? Alright, then.
Jermaine.
Jimmy. I will once again attack the snowball. I get a 17 plus 5, that's 22. That's.
We can't move this.
Ooh, 8 damage plus
you
5,
can't move this.
that's 13. 13 damage. He's not dead now. He has more health than the wall.
Touching his wound, he grabs his axe, comes towards you. You parry. Second attack, you also try to parry his blow. As he's going to strike for a third time, you jack him.
Die, fiend.
The goblin chief falls to the ground.
Do I see any change in morale? Actually, I shout out as a free action. Your chief is dead. Surrender. Throw down your weapons. You are no match for us.
Okay, so at the beginning of the round, I'll roll to see whether they're frightened of you or not.
Okay. Meanwhile, I will obviously run away and take cover. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So actually, am I in cover from these? You know, jekk inkun wara dijek.
Timxi ħarir oħra.
Right, mela actually, nasba jien imur lejn l-għamil. Jow, jekk intafaw taħt, per eżempju.
Għam s-sidġ għandek.
Le, s-sidġa tafuq di. Jow, s-sidġa il-footprint.
Għandek raġun. Nefsu għamma jitħolġa s-sidġa.
Aktar nirsa s-sidġa. Għanna nsib xnaħam.
To be fair, dak il-sidġa għamess nitrattaw għamek bħala balki. Biex jiblokkaw tlita li
Kolla, ok. Alright, mela, actually, mela jena mxie kaut 6, 5, 4, 3, mela flok għan imxie 4, 5, 6.
Ok. Wara ġemejn goblins. Mela ħanibda bil-żewġ goblins ħdejn.
Do you have to make any checks for...
Ħaniħu, jew, fear check. Ħaniħu li kontra AC ta' 12. L-għabu wieħed fallijaw, very frightened, tini wieħed fallijaw ukoll. Il-archers, both of them succeed, u li hemm fuq ħdejk, he succeeds as well. Għadha nsejt. He succeeds. Ġifieri l-unika żewġ frightened goblins huma taħdejn Drundred. Ħandu bihom fuq Drundred, since he was reckless attacking, they would do so at advantage and make normal rolls. They're frightened. One of them hits, second one doesn't.
Okay.
Actually, no, +4, no, both hit.
Oh, fuck. Yeah.
So, he takes 12, 14 divided by 2, 7 points of damage. He's also approaching it. Actually, yet. 9, really done yet. It was aggressive. Yes, took health away. Drundred gets 2 points of health away from being knocked.
Very cool.
Sorry, but the goblins are going to continue pressing.
Diafas.
One of them will take a shot against Drundred, the other against you, Jermaine. Starting with Jermaine.
Don't have a cover, right?
Doesn't hit you. Against the dwarf, doesn't hit. this guy towards here, taking shot against you. Doesn't hit. The guy up there will break away from Craven and tries to attack you. No, natural one. You get an attack back against him if you want to. If you haven't used your reaction.
I haven't used my action yet. It's a 9. Fuck.
Doesn't hit him though. Well, after the goblin's genre. So he will attack the goblin with 1 HP. Hits him and kills him. The one with the spear. Alright, next.
Okay, next combo. Okay.
Okay, 1-1. Jermaine.
I target this goblin. 11.
Doesn't hit. 11 total.
Yes. So I would like to. If I'm in the hole, does this guy get advantage on attacks?
Sorry, what?
If I'm in the pit.
He would, because he's at a higher ground.
Let me think. So.
Conversely, you get cover from the range shots.
Just throw this one behind the duck. Go shot the back. I'll stay where I am. That's my turn.
Goblins. Mela, shot against you from the archer down here. AC.
17.
Hits you. You take 7 points of piercing. The two goblins down here, they will split again. One against you, one against the dwarf. Against you, hits.
Hits.
If you have cover, no. Against the dwarf. Crits. 20. He is unconscious because he was 2 health away. The goblin behind you. Doesn't hit you.
Come on, the HP.
800. That saving throw.
7. I had the second win. I'm sure I'm done. 1, 2, 3, 4,
6.
5 goblins.
Fail. With a miss.
Wara dran real Craven.
Success.
I'm going to check.
Jimmy.
The goblin I'm a little damage. Thunder roll at these. That's roll. Meta sa sige pure power. She roll on.
لو اقدر رولاتي لك ماتيو جبت 6 he has 1 failure 0 successes هنرولي تحت الكاميرا عليك مش تارا على الأربعة أما دام خاطر على جاب 6
1 10 plus 5 11 1 10 plus 3 so actually I think you have bonus action or second win so I'm going to use second win first of all that's fail. That gives me d10 plus 3 HP, which is 5 plus 3, that's plus 8 HP, brings me up to 15, 5, 6, 7, yes, 15 HP. I look at my unconscious comrades around me and I look at the 4 or 5 goblins surrounding us. And I consider that perhaps the best plan of action is to retreat and then perhaps come back later to retrieve my comrades when I'm held here and have more superiority die. So I disengage and I try to escape. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and I'm somewhere over here. So 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay. After Jermaine, goblins. So they're going. That one is going to try and come at you. You disengaged right earlier.
Yes.
So he's going to try and attack you. AC?
17.
So he doesn't hit you. The archer though.
How much range does the archer have?
Archers 120. Should be enough time period. There is enough.
Does he have a short bow or a long bow?
Regardless, it doesn't.
Okay.
What I will check though is the archers for those. So about
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, plus 15 squares. But diagonally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Short bows are 80 to 120 range.
80.
So if they are beyond 80, they are rolling with disadvantage.
So
For
yeah,
80 يجي كم 12
15 squares.
لا 14 squares يجي ناصر. لا 16 squares. لا ملا
هما
120 وما 12 squares. اثنين سو؟
لا 120 هما 24 squares.
لا بدنا كم اوكي ملا 60 squares فلسه هما 60 feet هما 12 squares
That's it.
plus 4.
12 squares plus 4, ġifiri għadek 16 squares. Issa, as a line, għawek għaw 15 squares minn għaw saw. Issa medin diagonally, ġifiri għam aktar minn 15.
ملا
Reduce out disadvantage, eh?
ما يصير يمشوا قدام اللي هيعملوا هيمشوا all the way over here 1 2 so that puts them in short range 2 bow shots coming towards you current AC 17
Yeah.
no it doesn't hit both now
Okay.
so at this point as you run off since you walk off the map you go into full sprint. You manage to outpace the goblins because they don't have as much of a movement as you, presumably. What I'll ask you though is to roll. Sorry, so we have to exit the room for now. So we roll the saving throws for you.
Analystri għam. Mux analystri.
To be fair, okay.
Mux analystri, mux analystri. Għadda xismu. Good luck.
Come on, this is up.
Alright. Ġejta stable.
It counts 2-1. Suggest 3-1. Alright. So the question to call me, I'm rolling out Matthew. I'm rolling up the camera. Oh boy. Matthew, għadek għaw? Matthew, għan rolli just in case li jetaw, ma nafx inti xtara jew le. Għan nara fejn nisni rolja, għalli tara d-dadi. Rolja unek. So Matthew, inti qiegħed 1 failure, 0 successes. Għan rolja that saving throw. So that is 18. Tikti fuq il-kamera, ġifieri 1-1. Għamilek tasab għandha. Għalissa qiegħed 1-1 inti. Għan nirrolja tini. Qiegħed 1 success, 2 failures. Tielet waħda. 3. 3 failures, 1 success. Sorry, Matthew. And seeing as I'm the only guy left in this room, that is the end of tonight's session.